So we've got our list here of what we're going to do. So we're going to do July 3rd and July 4th and July 5th. Okay? So we're going to be covering those, and then I'm probably not going to be here until, well, there's no probably. I'm not going to be here until Wednesday of next week, so be expecting that. If you guys are like, where is he? What's going on? Wednesday, I'll be back. The 5th is when we're celebrating the 4th of July and also my girlfriend's birthday. And so, obvious to say, not going to be on here. But I will be back on Wednesday. So, let's kind of jump right in here. Hopefully everyone's having a good week. Everyone's kind of winding down a little bit as we talk about going into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I know that's where I'm going to be. Except I have family coming over. And of course you have to dash around like a mad chicken with its head cut off in order to get things done sometimes. So, yeah. Alright, so let's get this going here, you guys. Again, I am sorry I was so late. I can't remember if I even mentioned or discussed that the first time, so saying again wouldn't make a lot of sense. I had the weirdest experience happen. I'll wait until more people get on here, and then we can talk about it. It's been a very, very interesting day, to say the least. So like I said, we'll just wait for people to get on here. And let's see what we got here. So okay. So let's start. I'll start shuffling the cards so you guys will on. I'll grab the cards here. Just writing something down there really quick. Okay, let's do this. Let's move these over here. Let's do this right here. By the way, this is a Nintendo shirt. I don't know if you guys are into video games, but it is something I do rather appreciate. It's an interesting art form, in my opinion. But let's see what we got here. Let's zoom this in just a little bit. There we go. Alright, let's start shuffling the cards here. Move that over here. Let's get these shuffled. There's old Yoshi in the background there, making his appearance. Alright. Let's shuffle these ones. Very weird day today, very weird. And I mean that as a very undescriptive adjective, right? Weird could be anything. Weird could be good, weird could be bad. But I mean weird in the way it kind of synced up. I will explain. We'll do a little story time. I'm kind of wanting to wait until more people are here and kind of in the chat, and then I can do story time. But in the meantime, I'll just be shuffling here. Hopefully everyone is going to have a good weekend, and hopefully everyone has had a good week so far. Let's do one more shuffle with these cards, and we'll move on to the next deck here. Let's do another couple shuffles. Get it all ready. Nice and crispy cards here. Pretty good. Little reading. We're going to do generals first. For those of you guys that usually tune in and watch, we always do generals. We kind of start off. So the only difference is this time, as we're doing the generals, we're going to do 3 days instead of 2. So it'll be, let's see, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then I will not be here until Wednesday next week. Have my girlfriend's birthday, and then we're celebrating the 4th of July on the 5th. And so I will see you guys on Wednesday after that. Okay, let's see what we got here for Saturday, July 3rd. Okay. Ugh. I woke up at 7 o'clock today. Not like just an hour ago, but 7 o'clock in the morning. We had something we had to do today, so yeah. So we wake up early, and we've got to take our dog to the vet for a dental thing, right? So, and it wasn't just dental. We decided to have some other stuff done too. You know, she needed to be chipped, and we gave her all of her shots, everything. And so she's been having kind of a rough day, but she's a trooper. You guys have seen her before, Allie. She's seems like she's feeling okay now, but she was a little out of it there a minute ago. Okay, we're just plugging in my computer here. Okay, so let's move on to this, and then, like I said, we get more people in here. The chat's moving along. We'll go into some story time, but we'll wait. So let's do pile 1 first. Let's kind of see what we got here. We got, I had a feeling that card would be making an appearance, and I'll show you guys in just a second. Okay, so a lot of these are interesting cards. So, and I'll explain why in just a second. All of these to me are, oh, thank you, Gigi. Let me see here. Yes, you did. Okay, you will be put on the list. How are you doing? You're the first one on the list, Gigi. Thank you very much for the donation. Oh. So let's do this here. Zephwa, how are you doing? Fair to mid. I can understand that. I've had a lot of those fair to mids. And I appreciate the realness, because that's what we're about on this channel. If you're having a day that's that's alright. That's good. If you're having a day that's really it's still great. Come on here. We can talk, we can discuss. This, I don't want some toxic positivity entering here, because that's not going to help anybody. No. Okay, so we got this, and then let's move over here. So I'll explain to you what we got here, you guys. And then, like I said, we get some more people in here, we'll do the story time. but for now we're good. So we have Two of Swords, okay? Two of Swords. Beautiful card. Oh, it's a country saying, North Carolina. Okay, fair to Midland. All right, I hear you. I like it. So we got Two of Swords right here. Okay. And then we have the Three of Swords in reverse. So normally this is the heartbreak card. So this is for Saturday. But when we see it in reverse, it can be recovering over heartbreak. Anyway, we'll read into that in just a second. And then we have the anxiety card right here. Okay, and you'll see that number up there. Anxiety. Then we have the number 18 up at the top. So when we're looking at the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, and anxiety, to me, I feel like all of these are sword cards because they're mental energy. Anxiety is mental energy. It's kind of like that excessive mental chatter. To me, that is anxiety. And then when we have the Two of Swords and Three of Swords in reverse, we could be going through a place where we don't know what to choose. So we could be entering a possibly good situation, but maybe still dealing with something that feels inherently negative or that feels like we're struggling. And we could be given a way to get out of this kind of struggle. So maybe we're seeking help through a therapist, or maybe we're just talking to somebody. We're kind of offloading our mental world, or we're doing something where we're trying to be more productive. But another part of us could feel like maybe that is too much of a burden for somebody. Maybe I shouldn't tell anyone what's going on. And so that's what I'm feeling here, especially when we see the anxiety card with this. It feels like there's a lot of mental energy that I feel like we've been telling ourselves one narrative, one side of a story, when I feel like the universe is trying to give us the full book. We've been telling ourselves what was written on page 3, but the universe is trying to give us something else entirely, or give us the whole book, give us options and opportunities. And we could be resisting those opportunities. There could be a part of us that is saying, I don't deserve this, or this isn't for me, or you must have the wrong person, because this isn't mine, kind of a thing. But I do feel like this is good. This to me feels like we're dedicating our lives more toward a successful kind of venture than anything else. So to me, on Saturday, we could just be reevaluating parts of our life. Mental things, like the way we think about ourselves, the way we kind of behave in our minds, we could be reevaluating that. And I'll say this right now, okay? The voice in our head, if we are having negative thoughts, if we are going through something, that voice that's in our head, it's not real, it's not true. Just like other people can say something and not have it be fact, the voice in our head, why do we believe it to be 100% true all the time? So take that as a side. Take that and be like, just because your mind says it doesn't mean it's true, and it doesn't mean it's real. So that's something I feel like can kind of help us in that situation. If we view the mind as being capable of being wrong, which, let's be honest, all of us have minds that are a little wrong sometimes, then we can also mitigate that voice too when we're not feeling like we're enough. Okay, so let's do this here. Let's move on to the next pile. Okay, so this is also for Saturday. So we have the 7 of coins, the 2 of coins, and attachment. Okay, so when we see, I'll show you these guys. I will show you guys these cards. Okay, 2 of coins right here. Okay, then we have 7 of coins. All right, and then we have attachment. So these ones right here, and all of these were upright. So we could be, this could be a situation where we're having anxiety. Again, it feels like a job situation, or it feels like something. I feel like we're too attached to the idea of what should happen with our finances that we're not necessarily flexible. So I feel like we have a rigid idea of what it should look like, and another part of us is kind of sticking to that rigidity. That's one of the options here. When I see the 7 of coins, the 2 of coins, and attachment, it just feels like we're attached to financial outcome. And I don't feel like we necessarily need to be, because when the attachment comes in here, it's telling us that we're a little too attached, right? We're a little too attached to this, we're a little too attached to that. having good finances is great, but a part of me is saying that we're doing okay even when we don't think we're doing okay. I feel like there's a part of me that's saying that it's okay to let ourselves kind of relax a little bit, maybe on the finances, you know. So that's something that I'm seeing here. Just lowering the chair down. There. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing here, you guys, so far. So if there is a job situation, if there's something going on with us, the important thing for us to realize is that whatever we feel to be the cause of our anxiety, a lot of times if we can just sort of let go as much as we can and be in the present moment, we can kind of get through that easier. I know a lot of us, we've been through certain situations, and what will happen is we tend to kind of leave our bodies or disassociate when things are going on. It's good to kind of step back in and kind of reclaim our body, reclaim our space, and then look at what's going on in our life. Sometimes I feel like a lot of us go on autopilot. I know I've done it many times. And it's important to check ourselves when we're on autopilot and make sure that even if we're on autopilot, that things are still working okay, and kind of check in, see what's going on with ourselves. So have tomorrow be a day where we're checking in, we're seeing where things are for us, and don't be too attached to outcome. Maybe do something in your life that you're doing for fun and not necessarily to ever get paid for it. Like it's just something you do for fun. It's a hobby. It's a kind of a side interest. Let that be something that's fun for you. Don't take the joy out of it thinking you have to make money or you have to do this in order to be happy with it. Let yourself just have fun and be in the moment. Okay, you guys? All right, so let's move on to the other file here. Or the other day. Let's do Sunday next. And then, like I said, I will not be here on Wednesday or on Monday, so be expecting me on Wednesday. So, you guys just putting that out there. All right, let's shuffle. Give it a good shuffle. Woke up early today, guys. Had to take our dog to the vet. Nothing too scary. She just needed a dental checkup. But we still had to wake up early, so if I seem like I'm missing a little bit of a beat, that's probably why. I should still be good, but I go through these periods where I wake up really early for a while, and then I go through periods where I'm a little, mid-morning person, a little more mid-morning instead of right in the morning. And so waking up that 3, sometimes 4 hours earlier, a little bit harder for me sometimes. Okay, one more shuffle here. Okay. How's everyone doing so far? I know this week has been interesting for me. Can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for me though, and it's been a very interesting week. And again, interesting is a word that's very vague. You guys are thinking, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Synchronistic, right, would be one word I would say to describe it. So things kind of just adding up and kind of watching that play out. The one that was really weird today, right, and again, another word that means nothing. What is weird? But a really synchronistic event that happened today was I've been looking, and I feel like this is something that people, if they can afford to do it, if this is something that can be done, I feel like it should be done, no matter what profession you're in, no matter anything like that. So I've been looking for a therapist, right? I've been looking for someone to help me because I have anxiety, I have depression. I want people to know that because it shouldn't be kept in a box. This should be something we can talk about. But so I'm talking to the therapist, and me and him are having a good conversation, and I got matched up with him in a way that was like, and it was just online. It was just an online thing. But I got matched up with him in a way that was like, okay, I wanted someone who believed in spiritual principles. I wanted someone who was kind of in that same wheelhouse, right? Because I've done therapy before where the therapist didn't believe in what I was doing as a person, as a job, doing this kind of stuff. They didn't believe that it was something that existed. And so I wanted someone who could understand, because to me, I want to have goals. I want to have goals I can work towards, especially in career and doing stuff like that. Anyway, so I get connected with this guy, and he's in his mid 60s. Nice guy, seems like a pretty nice guy, and I really enjoyed the session, actually, and it was something that just took a really weird turn. And again, I'll explain what weird means. So we're at the very end of our session, and I ask him, because he's talking a little about himself, and I'm giving him information about me, and we're having a conversation, not necessarily as just kind of us talking about day-to-day life, kind of towards the end, instead of diving deep. And so I said, so where do you live? And he said, well, he told me where he lived, and then I said, oh. And then I said, I live there too. He gave me the state, he gave me the name of the city, but I live in the same town as him. And the odds of it happening the way it did with everything is mind-blowing. Okay, so I don't know, that still just kind of blows my mind. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting. A really weird little set of events. Okay, let's get on to the actual reading stuff. But yeah, I don't know, you guys have probably had some crazy experiences too, weird synchronistic things happening. If you want, you can talk about those. I would be interested to read those. Okay. So this is for Sunday, July 4th. Oh yeah, Gigi, it was interesting. It definitely freaked me out. I know I'm supposed to be this, I feel like I have a persona of a calm, cool, collected person on here somewhat. I was laughing, I was having a time, because that was the universe being too weird. It was too weird for me. I had to take a step back and realize, man, what the hell? What are the odds? What are the odds that it was, hey Amber, happy Friday to you too. But what are the odds that would happen? I don't know, I still can't get over that. That was interesting. And there was another thing that happened too. I don't know, maybe you guys have been having some, like I said, synchronistic experiences as well. Things just lining up or things just happening, kind of in a happenstance way, but that to me was weird. And what was even more interesting, right? The reason, so it's an online service. It's an online therapy service that I'm signing up to. And so I go with them, and then the reason I went with them is because I couldn't do therapy in person. I reached out to some places here, and because there's still COVID protocol and stuff like that, you can't see a therapist in person. At least that's what they told me. So it's online only. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. But then, like I said, I come through the online app, and of all the people to be connected to, it's a psychiatrist from my city. And he doesn't know where I live, and I have no idea where he lives, and the way the algorithm works, he was the one that responded to my specific question. There's like a pool of therapists that are out there. He responded to my specific question, and he just happened to be from the same place where I live, and he didn't even know. I mean, we had a good laugh about that, but we had a good conversation. He's a therapist. He believes in like the quantum physics part of this world and this reality. But very, very nice person, very down to earth. It's weird that he lives in the same town as me when I thought it was going to be some guy in New York or some guy in California or whatever, but no. Anyway, so let's do pile 1 and let's see what we get here. So pile 1 for Sunday, because I am late to this. So that was one of the reasons why I was late. Because after that happened, I had to tell my girlfriend what happened, and I had to explain it because it was weird. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, come on, that's strange. And then we talked about that. We were just having a good conversation, and so I was a little held up. I am sorry, guys, but yes. Okay, so for Sunday, we get the Lovers right here. Then we get the Door to Personal Healing and Happiness in reverse. And then we get the World card in reverse. So I'm going to say this right here for Sunday. Some of us could be stopping our sense of self-growth because of a love interest or because of a Gemini coming into our lives, because the Lovers is the Gemini card. So there could be us stopping a part of our journey that we know we need to be on, and maybe we're focused on love, or maybe we're focused on this or that, but I feel like part of us is putting our journey on hold for a bit in order to focus or possibly distract ourselves with something else. Because this right here, when the World is in reverse and the Door to Personal Healing and Happiness is in reverse, this is telling me that maybe we're focusing on something that is not as, like, maybe we're tired of diving deep and we want to take a breather, we want to take a breath, which is perfectly fine. But when I see the World in reverse after, it's feeling like it's hard for us to keep doing what we're doing. So there could be a sense of just feeling tired, just feeling like this is a lot. I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling exhausted. But, and alternatively, because the Lovers isn't in reverse, but the World being in reverse, it just makes me feel like we're stopping progress, because the World is kind of like the Wheel card, but we're progressing. On the Wheel, it's kind of, I feel like it's more ambiguous where we're going, but with the Earth, when it's upright, it's kind of like we're always moving in kind of a forward momentum. The Wheel kind of just moves wherever, but with the Earth, with the globe, that's kind of what I'm feeling here. So, Door to Personal Healing and Happiness in reverse. So, like I said, we could be dealing with a Gemini that maybe is taking away our happiness. Or, likewise, we could be looking to distract ourselves with love instead of focusing on more on the deeper side of the issues, right? Because we all have distractions. We all have escapes or distractions that we use. And it's okay to use those from time to time, but sometimes I feel like we depend on the distractions. And as soon as we start depending on those distractions, we start meeting resistances with ourselves more and more, because we're not listening. We're not listening to the red neon buzzer that's going off. Instead, we're constantly distracting. And so it's good to be in a neutral place where we're not trying to escape, but we're also not so serious and so in reality that it's ridiculous. A lot of times we just want to be present. We just want to be there. And distractions are great, but occasionally we need to check in and see what's going on. Okay, so that's Sunday. Let's look at the other pile for Sunday. And we get... So this is good. Okay, this could be good. And then my palms started to itch, so you already know what I'm going to say. King of Swords. Okay. Journey. And then Ace of Pentacles. So this is really good right here. We could be taking, so this could be some of us taking a course or going to school. doing something where we're trying to better ourselves, we're trying to get smarter. Maybe we're traveling somewhere and we're taking a class or a course that way, but it feels like we're doing something new that could possibly be a career choice or could be an interest for us. When I see the Ace of Pentacles, it's starting something new, it's focusing on something new, or it's wanting to really bring in that energy of something new. The Journey and the King of Swords. So you could look at this as a journey, like a physical journey, like the way we said it first, or you could look at this as a mental or emotional journey. Because when we see the King of Swords and then we see the Journey card, swords are mental energy. So we could have an inner journey, an inward journey towards the mental. We could be fixing behaviors with ourselves. We could be learning how to listen to ourselves, maybe for the first time in our lives. But this to me is starting over with something new, possibly so we can attract better things to us in the future. In fact, I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen. We'll attract more and better things to us because we're focusing on issues. We're focusing on what is actually going on. King of Swords, Journey, Ace of Pentacles. So it could be an inner journey. I feel like more than likely it could definitely be an inner journey. But with the Ace of Pentacles, it does make me feel like it's a grounded journey. So if it is mental, I don't feel like it's going to be like a very mental journey. I feel like for most of us, it's going to be an actual journey. Like we're actually going to be traveling. We're going to be doing something on Sunday, which is July 4th. So that would not surprise me in the least if we're busy or we're doing something or, you know. But that's what I've got here. So let's look at these other cards, or let's shuffle for Monday. And like I said, everybody, I will not be here. I keep having different people coming into the live, and so I might repeat myself a few times. But I won't be here on Monday, but I will be here on Wednesday. So I'm celebrating my girlfriend's birthday, and it's also July 5th, which is when they're doing the fireworks and everything here. So I will be a little busy on Monday, but I will wish you guys all the best. Okay, so let's shuffle these cards up and let's see what we got. Let me go here. Amber, awesome. You signed up to the Patreon. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, I'll put you on the list here. Hold on 1 second. That is awesome, Amber. So let's do this. And let's do... I love that, Amber. Thank you for helping support the channel even further. And you'll get discounts on your questions as well. You did 10 for this one, so I'll make sure to go in depth. But for the next one, it'll just be $7 a question from now on. So it won't be $10, it'll be $7. That goes for as long as you're active, as long as you're an active patron. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. And that helps more directly support the work too, so that's something we can absolutely strive towards. Okay, so you're second on the list, Amber. I'm going to read Gigi first for one question, and then it will be your turn. But let's do this first. Let's move this over here and let's shuffle. Thank you, Amber. I know you've always been someone that has appreciated the work, and that's why I do it, is so, you know, we can help people heal, we can help do something. And I think there will be time tonight. Hopefully we'll do the energy exercise I was talking about last time, because we kind of got cut out in a really weird way last time. So we'll do that. but I'll address your questions first, and then we can focus on that. So this is for Monday, July 5th. Oh, there's a sneaky one in there. Would you look at that? That card tried to sneak its way in. No, we don't do that here. They're the same size, okay? In my defense, they are the same size almost, and I get them mixed up sometimes. I get them mixed up. All right, let's do this here. So Amber, your new, your question rates now, like I said, $7 for one question, and then if you want to do 3, we'll do $20 instead of the $25. So you'll still get discounts there. In fact, let me see. Let's see, is that 20%? No. Okay, so we'll do 3 questions for 18, okay, and then 1 question for 7. So that should be better rates overall for you. I'm just letting you know so that it's a 30% discount, and if I can remember right, it's about 18. So oh, there's fireworks going off. You guys are probably hearing that too, I imagine. Okay, Monday. Okay, so let's do this, and then let's do this, and then let's go boom, 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 boom. Alright, so we got pile 1. Awesome, I'm glad you approve, Amber. I'm glad you like that. So we'll do pile 1, and then we'll do pile 2, and then it is on to the paid readings. First is Gigi, and then it's Amber's turn. So let me do this here. Let's do Ace of Pentacles, and okay, so this is Monday. Ace of Pentacles, 9 of Coins in reverse, and 7th Chakra, Archangel Uriel in reverse. Nine of Coins in reverse. So I feel like there could be something going on where we're getting ideas, we're having these ideas for what we want to do, but then we stop ourselves from doing them because we're told that we couldn't make money at it, or there's no point in doing it because it's just going to be a hobby. I'm feeling like there's a tendency to want to entrepreneurize everything we do, and sometimes we just need to experience something for what it is, the moment that we're having fun with it, not how we can exploit it for gain, but how we can experience it for us to just feel good, for us to just feel relaxed or happy. So that's what I would see here for Monday. We could be looking at taking something we love and just keeping it that way. Because sometimes when we turn what we love into a work kind of thing, we can lose the joy in that. So we have to understand, why do we love doing that certain thing? And what would kill it more? Recording myself doing it, or doing it this way, or whatever it happens to be to make money at, or not doing it. So we're kind of in that scenario here where it's okay to just have something that is literally for us to just dink around and nothing else. Like, it's literally just fun. It's fun for us to do, and we shouldn't feel guilty about having fun. We shouldn't feel guilty about taking some time off for ourselves to say, I deserve to have fun. I deserve to do something that helps me unwind and feel de-stressed. Okay? So hopefully that one makes sense to you guys. The 7th chakra, Archangel Uriel in reverse, like I said. So if we're talking about spiritual development, if we're talking about something, we're going to be talking about the flow of information. The more rigid we are in our way of thinking, like it has to be this way or it has to be that way, we're taking away the fun of it. Because as soon as we put these self-imposed rules on ourselves, we're setting ourselves up to fail. Because we're saying, I can't have fun unless this happens first, or I can't have fun while this is going on. And honestly, a lot of us could use just a little shot of fun every now and again, okay? We need to go get our booster shot of the fun. And it's okay to be infected by the fun. The fun is good. But sometimes we don't want to be that. Sometimes we don't want to feel that. And I understand it's super important to be serious all the time. I understand. I'm that way. Super important to be serious all the time. It really isn't. But sometimes that's how it is. And it's good to have a shot of something. It's good to have something that kind of brings us out of our shell, bristles us a little bit, you know, it braces us for impact, but in a fun way, you know, sort of, and something exciting and enthralling. Okay, so let's move on to the second pile here. And Gigi, do you have a question? You can put your question up, if you wouldn't mind. This card doesn't make an appearance very much, and it is confusing. You'll notice when I do these readings for you guys, you will literally notice I use the same deck. I've been using this deck for like 15, 16... I've been using this deck a lot, these decks right here. I don't usually change them out too much. And you'll notice that some nights, most nights... Okay, cut and paste, perfect. You'll notice that most nights, I feel like the cards are kind of the same. We're dealing with a very similar message because the people that come on here, I feel like we're all learning very similar things. We're kind of attracting each other to a vibrational frequency, and so it's going to kind of be the same message. And it'll change gradually over time as the group changes, as I change, as things change, and I'm attracting more people and more people are coming in. You'll notice that the vibration changes and energy shifts. So you'll see the cards start to not be as familiar as before, but then they'll fall into another pattern of familiarity. So for instance, this card never comes up, ever, in this deck. So we have the Hanged Man in reverse. Okay. Then we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. And then we have Walking Away in reverse. Okay, so I'll read your question here in just a second. Gigi, thank you for posting it. I do appreciate that very much, my friend. Let's see what we got here. So the Hanged Man in reverse, which is confusing because the Hanged Man in reverse, wouldn't that just be a standing man, right? Then we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have Walking Away in reverse. So Walking Away in reverse would be staying put. Five of Pentacles in reverse would be healing. This does feel like financial. Again, we're talking about financial stuff. So we're healing from financial situations, or we're healing from the way we think about a certain situation. But something is bringing us back to thinking negatively again. I feel like we get out of this way of thinking and then we come right back in. So it feels like it's like a revolving door. Like we literally just go like this and then we come right back. So in order for us to break free of those kinds of constraints, right? In order to break free of those kinds of break free, not three. In order to break free of those kinds of constraints, we have to understand where that kind of behavior is coming from. What's having that develop. So that's why the work that I talk about when we're doing our kind of inner integration, our childhood work, it's important to realize what triggers these kinds of events, because then we can understand our subconscious better, and when we understand that better, we can eventually we can stop triggering ourselves in certain events, and then we learn to heal and we learn where to go from there. But that's the healing part of the journey, is finding what triggers us and then working around it, and then eventually just getting rid of the triggers, and then working on further being more authentically us each and every day. So that's what I'm seeing here. But when it comes to money, when it comes to the money situation, it feels like we're going back and forth with the mentality. I don't have enough, I can never get enough. Only these kinds of people have this. Like, I'm feeling like we berate ourselves, right? And so that's kind of what I'm feeling here. So let's do this next one, and then we'll move on to Gigi's question here. So let's see what we get going on. So this next one, this is again, like I said, for Monday. Door to personal healing and happiness in reverse. See, that one's already made an appearance. Temperance in reverse. And then the Three of Cups in reverse. So we're dealing with, Sunday and Monday, we're dealing with energy that I feel like is stuck in our way of like not knowing what to do, not knowing how to get out of this kind of energy. I feel like we'll eventually find an answer, but there tends to be a feeling of things just getting stuck with us. And so the best thing to do moving forward is to acknowledge that we're in a situation where we do feel stuck. And it's okay to admit that to ourselves. It doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong. In fact, the moments in our life where we're feeling stuck, I feel like that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of self-assessment to say, I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling like, right, because we know ourselves. We understand ourselves. So it's okay to feel this way sometimes. It's okay to feel like it's just kind of a heavy feeling. And just allow yourself to feel that. Realize everyone goes through it. They don't put it on social media, right? They don't do that, but realize that everyone is feeling it. Everyone's going through something. And so they just won't post it on social media. You won't see it in your feed, so to speak. So it's important to take a reality check here, come in with ourselves and realize that there is really no like bad behavior necessarily when it comes to healing, when it comes to doing this kind of work. There's just behavior, and we need to view it as such. We need to understand that kind of mental world with ourselves. Okay, so let's move on to Gigi's question here. All right. So Gigi says it's a love question. It's a love question. So I met a guy through a tarot reader in April. Super random. We have never actually spoken to each other on the phone. It's been texting and photos and random videos and chat. Okay. We have a lot in common. The initial reach out was business related. Then we stopped talking about business. Today, suddenly, he reiterated the business relationship. My heart hurts and it's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. Because I don't even know him. I can't get him out of my energy space. I know it sounds like it's nothing, but it is. Like it's nothing. But it's something for you. I understand. Hey, that doesn't sound like it's nothing. Each of us make connections in different ways. Each of us understand the world in different ways. And the way you feel is perfectly normal, okay? This isn't like... We live in a day and age where I feel like everyone's valid. Everyone has their things. And if it hurts you, it hurts you. You don't need to say, I don't, just let yourself feel. Let yourself feel. You're in a safe space here, okay? I do that too, though. I say things like, this will sound crazy, but, and then I say what I'm going to say. I know it's nothing but, and so we can reframe that. We can reframe that way of talking, because it's not nothing, and especially to you, right? It's something to you. So let's look at what we get here. So let's use these energy cards here. Okay, so let me understand this. So Gigi, what are you wondering about in this scenario? Because I feel like you're talking to me, which I love, but I'm not necessarily seeing a question. Is it how does he feel about me? Is it right? Because I don't want to read something that you're not asking for. Well, you kind of did it again there. You're not crazy. Is it a thing, right? Yeah, you're not crazy. Not even a little. It's just something we do. It's what we do. It's what we do. Okay, how does he feel? It's what we do to minimize. So we minimize ourselves, right? Or we're minimizing our situation by saying something and accompanying it with it's nothing, or it's this or it's that. We're trying to make it sound like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It matters to us. We don't want to minimize ourselves because we've done that before. I want us to stand. I want us to say what's on our minds. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to say things too, but we can hold each other accountable. We can work through this. Okay? I guess how does he feel? This is hard for me. I understand. So how does this person feel towards Gigi right now? Let's see here. How does this person feel towards Gigi right now? Okay. Like I said, guys, sorry about the yawning. I had to wake up early. So I'm April 18th, he is January 18th, same year. Okay. Okay. So I get these two cards right here. I get the World, and then I get Yin Yang in reverse. So these two in reverse, it feels like something happened in this kind of situation. So I'm curious, when did the tone of the chat change? When I'm looking at it here, it feels like there was a shift in the conversation, and maybe this person's feeling guarded with their energy. Because it feels like it went from being reciprocative, like both of us chatting, and then it's just, like you said, business, or he reiterated the business relationship. So I'm curious here, kind of what's happening. I'm going to go grab some water, so please type your answer and I will come right back and I will look. So just give me a second here, my friend. Hold on. Okay, same here. Today I asked details about him. Thanks. It changed when I asked him to talk about himself. Okay, so this to me feels like a situation where you didn't do anything wrong, Gigi. Just so that I'm throwing that out there first, because I don't want you to think, oh, I came on too strong. People that understand your special sauce, they get you. They understand you. I feel like this person, he's kind of showing himself now. This is a good thing, I promise you, because it's showing that if there was something to happen later on, there would be some intimacy issues. There would be something going on here, that there would be some issues here. So this person feels uncomfortable talking about themselves, probably because they don't know who they are. Or they're just someone who's incredibly private, but to me this feels like you're having a conversation, things are happening. When you ask questions about him, he clams up because I feel like there's some intimacy issues on his end. I feel like there's something there on him. When I see the world and the yin-yang in reverse, it feels like this was a strong connection. I feel like there was a connection here for sure, but it feels like this connection right now doesn't feel like it's the time. Just because this person is... I'm feeling like it's just like this person doesn't know themselves. If I can draw another card here, I can do that and we can look. So, why did this happen necessarily, Spirit? What was going on here? Okay, so we get this card. It's man holding a coin in reverse. So yeah, it's someone who doesn't know themselves, or someone who doesn't know... It's someone who maybe he doesn't value himself very highly, but it comes across in a different way. But this to me is kind of a sign where this person is saying, I don't feel comfortable, right? And that you didn't do anything wrong. This person just they don't feel comfortable in that scenario. It's actually, and I don't want you to ever think that that's a bad thing to do, because it isn't. Asking people about themselves is good. That's an awesome thing. That's a good trait to have. This person, though, I just don't feel like they have anything to say. And that's their own issue. That's kind of things that they're going through personally. But that's what I'm seeing here. Nothing to be taken... I mean, obviously it's personal because there was a connection, but it's not like... it would... Okay, let me put it this way. You feel like you've known him in life. Okay, so there's some similarities. There's some... what would you call it? You feel like you know the connection, or you understand that connection, right? Because what I would honestly say, right? We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out, Gigi. So there can be people that come into our life at the right time, and sometimes I feel like if we're watching tarot, we're watching a reader, we're watching something, it gives us a lot to talk about initially. There can be people that it's annoying because that's not the kind of person you are. And this person just kind of came in, and now we have to deal with this. That's what I'm kind of feeling from you. So it's kind of like, okay, I can understand that. With this though, I feel like honestly, Gigi, it's not just you, right? Right. Normally it's easy for you to let go, and I can understand that. This though, here, I feel like this person would be kind of like this with a lot of people, not just you. It doesn't feel like it's... I know we're taking this personal because it's personal, right? But I feel like this person tends to push a lot of people away that try to be close. That's kind of my inclination. It feels like there's something here where this person is pushing things away, right? Maybe not consciously aware of it, but I do feel like there's a tendency here. But something we can do in the meantime, I would say this, Gigi. So he's wanting to do business, or he's wanting to do something. If he's still wanting to do that, I would say, give it some time, give it a break, give yourself some distance and some space. Maybe just don't respond, or do something where I feel like you can take care of yourself and you can understand that it's kind of a sticky situation, so we want to understand it for ourselves. And so I would say take some time to kind of evaluate this. But it is feeling awesome. Okay. It is feeling like the best thing to do is space. The second best thing that we can do is, realize objectively what it is that we're attracted to, because sometimes because we've grown up in a certain way with the narcissistic abuse I've talked about, sometimes we're attracted to unavailability because we feel like there's safety in that. And until we heal a part of ourselves, we will be attracted to people that are either unavailable, or they're dismissive with us, or they don't give us the time of day, or they don't appreciate us. And once we've healed that, then we no longer attract that kind of energy. So we need to understand why we're feeling the connection. Are we feeling a connection because this person is touching on a trauma point? Or are we feeling a connection because this person is someone that we can trust, or we can understand? So that's kind of what we need to do. I just need to figure out how to block him from my mind. Okay, so let's talk about that. We can do something with this. We can do a little exercise with this. Would you want to try an exercise with me? These are interesting exercises, and I just want us to, when we have something like this, I want us to realize that there are steps we can take. There's things we can do. So I wanted to see if you wanted to do that, Gigi. And if you're not ready to do this exercise now, that's okay. I'm sure that is it. The ones who want to be around me all the time, I could care less. Let's do it. Okay, so I want you to know this, Gigi. You don't have to do this right now if you don't feel comfortable doing this right now. When you feel comfortable in doing this, you can do it. So I'm not going to be like, do it and then give me the results. No, we're going to do this when you're ready. I'm just going to show you how to do it, so that when or if you decide to do it. Okay. All right. So let's do this. So I want us to imagine there's like a thing right here. Like, let's say there's a line connecting me and our cat here. Okay? There's this line connecting me and our cat. And the only thing we have to do is, I want us to, as much as we can, as vividly as we can, I want us to imagine that we're connected to that person. And then after, I want us to imagine that we're taking a knife and we're cutting through that connection. We're cutting through the tethers, the ties that bind. And we'll do that, we can do that over and over and over again. And that each time that we cut that connection, it's going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. It may take a little bit of time. It may take us doing it a few times. But we're telling our mind and we're telling our psychic body that it's time to let go. It's time to move on to something else. And sometimes I feel like we can be addicted to a person, and cutting the energy is a really good way to do that. Saging ourselves is really good too after we've cut the energy. But do something, and I'm doing physical motion here, even though we're cutting an invisible cord, because that helps the body. That helps the body understand what's going on. If we do physical motion with something that's magical in nature, I feel like that brings in that energy even more. So cut it, feel that connection, and then feel it fading into what it was, what it actually is. Let's do that, so that when we cut the connection, we can fade it into what it actually is to us, instead of us trying to romanticize the idea or us trying to internalize a certain version of it. We can see it for the truth of what it is, and we can eventually. Okay, you did try cord cutting, so that's one of them. That is one of the methods. It will eventually work, but like I said, the first thing that we need to do is feel why this person is with us, which you said you would figure out. personally, what I'm feeling, well, I'll do this, Gigi. So, would it be okay if I connected with you psychically? Would that be alright? If not, that's okay too. I'm just asking. Where did I put? I don't think I ever brought my water in here. That's alright. Okay, so that's what I was feeling that it was. But we can, you know, we can learn why that is something that we're attracted to, right? We can learn why that is something we're attracted to, and then we can work to resolve that. Okay. So let's give this a shot for a second here. Okay. Okay. Okay, first thing I'm getting with this kind of situation here is there's like this, the best way I can describe it is it's like a spiky energy. I almost feel like it's a bat. I almost feel like it's the Negan's bat that he uses in The Walking Dead. It feels like we're kind of covered in barbed wire, and I feel like our energy has this spikiness to it. This, to me, I feel like has happened because we've been vulnerable in the past, and people didn't respect that vulnerability. And because of that, we developed spikes, we developed an armor. And I feel like there's a tendency for us to think this isn't fair, I shouldn't have to have this armor in the first place, but oh well, I'll wear it. That's what I'm feeling. Do you resonate with that so far, Gigi? Okay. Okay, so when we're doing that, okay? When we're doing that, Gigi, Spirit's telling me we're in resistance to vulnerability. So what does that mean? That means we're in resistance to feeling comfortable, and we're in resistance to feeling safe. Okay? When we're in that state, decisions that we make from that moment on can be clouded because we're trying to we kind of become hypervigilant would be a word. Well, see, this is where it's interesting. And being alone's good too. Being alone is good. And we can learn a lot while we're alone. I always say it's better to be in a relationship. Here's what I think. Be in a relationship where each person wants to be in the relationship to help each other grow. Instead of being in a relationship to distract ourselves from our own growth, we're both helping each other grow. And it's good to be comfortable when we're alone. If we're really comfortable with ourselves when we're alone, then when we find that kind of ideal partner, they just add more to that completeness that we already are. And I can understand that. I can understand. But so when we're in resistance to the vulnerability, that does create a handicap for ourselves. It's okay it's okay to go through any of this. I'm not calling you out. I'm not saying anything's wrong with you, because there's not. There's just parts of us that are hurt, and this can help us heal. Hurt people don't mean that they're less valuable or they're less than. They're not. They're just hurt, and we can help that. We can help that along. So the spiky energy, the resistance to vulnerability. But the thing is, I feel like you're someone who has a dynamic sense of, you can have some days where you're so positive. You can have some days, I feel like it's almost radiating. I felt like I was seeing the armor that we were talking about before, and there was light shining through it. So I feel like we find joy even in dark situations. I feel like that's nothing new for us. I feel like we find kind of joy, or we find a sense of understanding ourselves more through more difficult situations. I do sense that you have an inner knowing and an introspection into yourself. There's bigger parts that we've yet to uncover, but I feel like you're an adept at this. I feel like you're someone who's more advanced at kind of uncovering the self and sort of looking at what's going on. Even being objective to the point of, I feel like a lot of people would have a hard time being that way. I feel like you just get it. You've observed yourself, and yeah, I feel like there's definitely that. So that's good. There's self-awareness here. Is any of that making sense so far, Gigi? Okay. All right, so let's do this here. So the other thing that I'm seeing here is I'm being shown the symbol of a chain breaking. For some reason, Spirit's showing me metal references. So I'm seeing a chain break. Right, they're outside. So, and I want you to realize too, Gigi, that this is something we do when we've been through trauma, when we've been through things in our life. This is something that we do to keep proving to ourselves that we're not good. We're not good with people. We're not good with this. We don't understand love. We don't understand situations. This is what we do to further enforce that stereotype of saying that we'll never find anybody or no one will get us, because we keep attracting ourselves to these unattainable people, and when it keeps not working out, we get even harder and harder on ourselves. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But once we learn to see that, because Spirit was showing me chains breaking, once we break one chain, once we start to heal a little bit, the next chain breaks easier, and the one after that breaks even easier. And eventually we can start having a paradigm shift where we're no longer attracting the unavailable or the unattainable people in our lives anymore. We can see what that looks like, and we understand that behavior, and we can be like, oh, I don't want that then. I want this. I want something that's stable. I want something that's sincere and real. But we have to be sincere and real with ourselves first, and we have to heal the way we view things, because a lot of us live in that kind of, I feel like we live in kind of a shame space. And we feel like we don't deserve the good things. We don't deserve this and that. And so self-love and self-care can be a radical concept. But once we do that and we start treating ourselves better, we start treating ourselves what we feel like we're worth, which is not a piece of shit. We are so much more than that. We are so much more than when we're thinking negatively of ourselves. But the main thing here is that when we break the one chain in the healing process, we break the next one, we break the next one. Right, there are available people, it's just not what I want. Okay. That doesn't mean settling either. That's not what I'm talking about either. I'm talking about finding people that are available that would be what you want. Not settling for someone who's available that isn't what you want, because why would you want that, right? So, but eventually we can shift that kind of awareness because we've been attracted to the other side. We can eventually see that the availability is good. In fact, someone once said, I can't remember who it was, they said, when I meet my soulmate, or when I met my soulmate, I thought that there would be this overwhelming desire and urge to be with them every minute of every day. But in actuality, there was just a profound sense of calm. And to me, I feel like that's how it should be. We shouldn't meet someone and feel way over the moon that they've even looked at us and they're talking with us. It should be kind of a mutual thing, and there should be sort of that kind of awareness. And the person that we're looking to meet shouldn't be inciting drama or talking behind people's backs. Or I'm not saying that's what this person does, but I'm saying we're looking at people that don't make us feel right. Yeah, and we're looking for people that help complete us. Even though we're already, we're a working masterpiece in progress, but we're looking for people that can further that progress. And we've been told that unavailability or not feeling safe, possibly in childhood we didn't feel safe with our parents, and so that's why we're attracted to that later, because we weren't given a model of love. It was a dysfunctional love, and now we have to work on what functional love looks like. And that's not your fault in any way, Gigi, that happened. But we can work to fix it. We can work to fix it in ourselves. We can say, okay, there's a mess here. I didn't make it, but I can sweep it up a little bit. I can do that, because that's kind of how it is, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. For words of affirmation. He helps the anxiety. I understand. I understand that. And that can absolutely help us. That can absolutely help us. It just, and maybe things could happen later with this person. I'm never going to be that person, never say never, but I am going to say right now, no matter how you were, no matter in the way the cards are reading here, no matter who you were, this person would treat you the same. So it's not like they're doing it just to spite you. I'm feeling like this person just doesn't get close with people. And I know it's hard to say don't take that personally, but I mean it in the sense of like it would happen to, I feel like even family members to an extent with this person. So it's not like they're just avoidant in general, which would be the word we can use to describe it. They're just avoidant people. I feel like they're there, they can help us, but there's something that this person's running from, and I feel like this person just isn't in that space, isn't in that head space. Does that help answer your question, Gigi? There you go. I know, because we grew up in that environment. What can happen in that environment is other people will look at us and say, you're too intense, or you're too this, or you're too that. And because of that, when a relationship is having a hard time, or when something's struggling, we say it's because we're too this or we're too that. We're not. We're just us. We are just us, and we were made this way. And there's nothing wrong with us. We're not too this or that, but we've been told we are. So now we need to let that shine out. Those things where people say you're too this, too that, that's where our power lies. Embrace this. Don't shy from it. Even though I know it's easier said than done, but yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm glad, Gigi. I'm glad that helped you. So Amber, are you there? Because you can ask your question. Go for it. Go for it, Gigi. I understand. You can absolutely delete the chat, and that goes for anyone else that's reading with me. If you guys want to delete your question after, you absolutely can. I don't have any problem with that at all. You guys do what you want to do. I wish I could type in a special command and just do it for you, though. That'd be cool, but I can't do that. At least not that I'm aware of, anyway. I also offer other sessions that aren't online, too. I mean, if you're looking for privacy that way, I could understand. So I do offer sessions that are offline. But doing it this way, I understand. You know, we're both on here. Go for it, Gigi. When you feel like it. I'm not expecting anything. When you feel like that's something you feel comfortable with, go for it. I'll be right there with you, okay? Yes, it's so weird. Her reading resonates with me. Amber, it does. Okay. Similar question then, or is it? Maybe we can put our own kind of spin on it, if there's something else. This is why it's good when you guys come on here, because you can type something, I can witness what you're experiencing, you know, I can read what you're going through, what you're experiencing, and then you get an unbiased viewpoint. You get a viewpoint that's not you, and then we can make progress towards that, because a lot of times our own story for us is way too personal for us to see it objectively. And sometimes we feel like we're the victim, sometimes we feel like we're going through this and that. And in fact, we should be empowered, or we should be focusing on feeling this way instead, if we can, right? There's no wrong feelings, but I'm just saying. I will, at least someone gets my energy. Well, thank you, Gigi, that's very sweet. I appreciate that. It's a similar situation when we learn, like I say, that's why Amber is starting her healing journey. We're all starting our healing journey. Like I was talking about myself, I'm seeking therapy, right, because of my anxiety and depression. And I feel like that's something we need to talk about and give strength to, rather than saying there's something wrong with the person. I think if you're a medium, I think if you're a psychologist, I think no matter what line of work you're in, you should be, if you can, be seeing a therapist, because we all need a check sometimes, and I definitely know I do. I do not have life figured out. I'm learning, but I do not have it figured out. Okay, so Amber says, still tying up loose ends. I want to know if Chris is still sabotaging me and the truth of why that happened. We have professional ties and he's been lurking on my social media lately. So Chris was one of the people that let you go. Chris was with Brad, right? Sure, Amber. Yeah, you can ask another question later. Like I said, though, do the $7 one instead of the 10 because you did donate on Patreon. So do the $7 instead. So Chris was with Brad, right? Of the dancers and stuff that we were talking about a while ago. Hey Ty. You're very welcome, Gigi. You've actually get him into the group. I see. Okay. I didn't know that part of the story, but I do remember you mentioning Chris before. I definitely remember you mentioning him before. So, is he still... Let's look. So you said... You want to know if Chris is still sabotaging you. So is Chris still sabotaging Amber? Amber. Mouth's a little dry. Amber. Okay. Is Chris still sabotaging Amber? So I get Angel of Balance and Rest and Rejuvenation in reverse. But then I get the Appreciation card. So did Chris come back into your life, Amber, when you started focusing on doing healing work, or has he been around for a while? Because it feels like he's made his presence more known since you started doing the healing work. When I see Appreciation up like this, it makes me think this person's attracted to your energy for some reason, and I'm feeling like it's because you're focusing on healing, this person's trying to, well, I'll just wait. I'll wait and see what you say. I need to close this. But is also still in creative ideas from others. Okay. So I'm still feeling like Chris is in the sabotaging phase. Like I said, Rest and Rejuvenation, Angel of Balance in reverse, and the Appreciation. I would not be surprised, Amber, if there's a situation where we run into him again fairly soon-ish, if there's something going on where this person's going to be present. I do feel like they will be attracted to you in a way that there's like a shiny new coat of paint, but this person still does not mean anything good. Even if they're trying to be friendly or something's going on, be incredibly weary of this energy because it feels like this person's going to come in, and I feel like there's a lesson here where this person's trying to throw us off balance. He started dating a girl in the group whom he's now married to, and she also treated me like dirt. I remember you saying that. I remember that part. Yeah, so I would say the leopard has just changed its spots, so to speak. So be very weary here is what I would say. Still the same person. Let him be that miserable person, I would say. And like I said, if there is a reaching out, if something happens, be very limited with it. Really bare minimum with this person. I think they call it gray rocking, where you just give them hardly anything. Like, don't give them emotional input, be very stoic, be very calm, and don't talk about your dreams or aspirations. Definitely don't talk about any future ideas or goals that you have. Just be very, very nonchalant and very non-emotional talking to this person. Eventually they stop trying to get energy from you, but every time we give them an emotional response, it furthers that behavior where they keep trying to get more and more of a response from us to take that energy. So that's kind of that connection there that I would say. Does that make sense, Amber? And I remember I remember that story that he dated and married the girl. I remember that. And I remember Brad and all of that. And I would say stick with your guns. If they treated you awful, I'm not seeing any reason for that behavior to change. It still feels like I feel like this person gets rewarded for their bad behavior. And so I feel like that's why they do it. Is he the reason why I was asked to leave? Like Bradley, he tried to exploit my ideas and still has footage to this day that he won't allow me access to. Let me see. Hey Maxine, how's it going? Is he the reason I was asked to leave? Is Chris the reason why Amber was asked to leave? I'm wondering if maybe it was the girl in the situation, or I'm not sure, because I think you were telling me there was 3 people. I got this card, so I got deceit in reverse. So I don't think he did it, but I don't think he disagreed with the choice. Second chakra, Archangel Ariel in reverse. And then we have Journey card right here, which is literally you taking a journey away from them, like them casting you out of the group. The Journey card being upright is really good though, because this one right here is saying that you got the better of the deal. Right now it probably doesn't feel that way, but you're not trapped in that situation necessarily anymore. You're still dealing with kind of the leftover residue, but spending every day with these people, these draining people, I feel like this is a win for us to get out. The second chakra, Archangel Ariel in reverse, that's also a card that deals with passion. The second chakra can deal with dancing too, expression through the body, and it can deal with sexual energy as well. When I see these right here, it does make me think it could maybe, did you say there was a woman there too that was with Chris? You said she treated you like dirt. I'm feeling like maybe she had a say in something here, in you leaving or something going on. It feels like there's something here. I feel like you have talent, you have something, you have ideas. You're kind of this person that walks the talk, so to speak. And these people don't like that, so they're going to try to minimize you as much as possible. In fact, it doesn't mean that you're worthless, Amber, in any sense of the word. It means that your ideas were so good that these people felt threatened by you. That's what I'm seeing here. And you taking the journey, you leaving, is a good thing for you. Eventually you'll see that was a good thing, not a bad thing. But that's what I'm seeing here. Does that answer that question for you, Amber? You know, Amber, that's something. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that's ever an issue. Because that's the dumbest, that's the... Your talent and your drive, I feel like, are what make you a beautiful person, a successful person. And your skin tone adds to that. It doesn't subtract from it. It's part of you, obviously. And the fact that those people made you feel less than for something that's beautiful and amazing, that's their loss, right? That's them. Like I said, they showed you their true colors. Because that's not something anyone should have to put up with. Tried to fight you. What? It's good, Amber. Get it out. Get it out. I'm so sorry that happened, though. I'm sorry that was something that you had to go through, because this is ridiculous. These people, they're just horrible through and through. And when we're thinking of, if these people reach out to us again, when we're thinking of whether to respond or not, I want you to think of this situation. Sometimes we tend to see things through rose-colored glasses. You know, we tend to look at the past in that way sometimes. In this situation, I want you to remember this so that you can feel, when you're angry, the reason you're angry, or the reason you're feeling upset, is because you're starting to know your worth. You're starting to know what your worth is, and these people aren't paying that, and it's making you upset. But you're worth that. You're worth what you're asking for, and all you're asking for is basic respect. And you're worth much, much, much more than that. And these people just didn't see that. Strong and athletic enough to handle it. Wow, okay. See, that right there, that's ridiculous. Strong and athletic enough to handle it. Okay. Well, Chris is stupid and dumb enough to handle a punch to the face. You know, just saying. He could handle it because he's so stupid, right? He wouldn't even feel it. Sorry, Amber. That's the most narcissistic bullshit from Chris. I mean, that's just. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Again, that's just. It's beyond ridiculous. Right, so they're making. Okay. Yeah. That's someone trying to control, well, everything, including you. You're okay, Amber. You're okay. It's nothing I can't handle, okay? As long as it's helping you to understand it, right? We can talk about this. We're good. I don't want you to think it's too much, or I'm sitting here thinking, oh God, don't want to have to deal with Amber. I'm never thinking that. I want to help. This is what I want to do. So you're good. You're safe here. We can talk about this. Because what you're saying and maybe my reaction to it is helping you in some way, seriously, you were justified in your behavior here, which literally was you just removing yourself from the situation. Maybe it was forcibly at first, but I'm thinking you're seeing it more as a blessing as time goes on, because these people, these adult children, that we'll call them, they do not understand connection. They do not understand anything like that. They may understand what networking means, but they don't understand what actual human connection is. These are vapid, narcissistic, awful people. And so it's good to not be in league with these people. It's I would say eventually consider yourself lucky that they did show their true colors fairly early on. There you go. Yep, Maxine, yep, absolutely. I've been there, Amber. They want you to look bad, but they can't, so they hurt you. They do. And a lot of times they'll try and hurt. If they can't hurt you, and you've talked about this too, they'll try and go after your reputation, or they'll try and go after something else. And so that's something that they do to try and control that situation. Eventually word gets out. I do feel like eventually there's justice, but these people are just, they're awful to deal with. And like I said, if we have to be around them, if we have to be around these people for some reason, we gray rock them, which is no emotional response when we're talking to them. We don't tell them about future goals or plans. We don't tell them what our dreams are. We don't tell them about hobbies that we have or interests that we have. We do not let them in our life, and we stay very surface. And that's it. Because they don't deserve to be in our deeper sanctum, our deeper emotional sanctum, because they've shown that they will just trample all over the flowers that are on the outside. What the hell would they do if they got in? So we need to work on that. We need to work on building up a healthy sense of self, and then walling off those people that definitely do not belong in our garden. Getting rid of them, just saying, But it takes time, and Amber, you're going through this healing journey, and I'm proud of you for doing that, because it's not easy, but it is also the best thing you can do. It's something that you will be so glad that you did when you're going through the tail end of it. When you're coming out on the other side, you'll be like, I'm so glad that's something that I went on and I did, because we're taking the child Amber and we're reuniting it with adult Amber, and together you guys can make peace. But we're looking at how to work with that inner child. We're looking at how to work with what we've been given, and it just takes time. Does that help, Amber? Okay, Amber, so I'll say this on that question. I feel like the reason you're asking that, Amber, you're asking that because you're a good person. And because you're a good person, you think other people are also good. You could never imagine yourself doing what he did to you. And so you're thinking, well, he must feel bad about that, right? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this person doesn't feel the way we feel. It's not, this person doesn't feel in a healthy way. This person feels in like a zombie kind of way. So does he feel remorse? No. I would say this person doesn't. They just sort of do what satisfies the ego in the moment. And I feel like that's something that, like I've said, I feel like they've been rewarded for that behavior through society. And so they can continue to do it and keep getting rewarded. Eventually, though, these people, they get found out, they get caught, things come to light. But I do feel like this person is using their lack of empathy would be a good word, to really hurt people, to really try to exploit people. And I don't feel like these people feel remorse the way we would feel remorse if we ever did anything like this, which we would never do because we're good people. I once said something to my girlfriend, and I said, am I a bad person to her one time? And she said, bad people don't ask if they're bad people. And that immediately made me be like, that sounds right. that sounds okay. Bad people think they're always good. Bad people, they're very, like, they don't care. They bulldoze, they do whatever they do. The overthinkers, the people that spend way too much time caring and maybe not enough about caring about themselves, those are the ones that are the good people. We try as hard as we can, and yeah. We're on the healing journey now, and we're going to make it so eventually these kinds of connections that we've been through, we don't have them anymore, and we're in a healthier space in time. This takes time though, but eventually we can get to a healthier space because we understand our worth, our self-value, and we can move on from there. What are you thanking me for, Maxine? I mean, you're welcome. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm giving you advice on, guys, a lot of this stuff I am going through too. A lot of this I'm going through. If it seems like I'm knowledgeable on the subject, I'm currently going through it. I'm currently trying to understand my own journey, my own sense of self, right? And through this, we can figure stuff out. We can understand things. This is a safe space to let ourselves be, right? Gratitude, absolutely. Absolutely. It just takes time, it takes patience. In the meantime, while we're waiting for these new connections to grow, and while we're understanding that, we get to read up on how to heal. We get to, and I say get to, because I want you guys to understand that this is something we choose to do. This does not happen naturally. This is something we choose to do. They say time heals all wounds. No, attention does. Paying attention to what's going on heals. Understanding it, getting to the truth of it, that heals the wound. Time doesn't. We got in a fight with ourselves a long time ago, and we haven't been on speaking terms with our inner child for a very long time. So the first time that we pick up that phone in our heads and we call our inner child, it's going to be hard to hear that voice if we hear anything at all. Maybe the inner child will just pick up the phone and hang it back up and be like, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to do it. But eventually we start having a stronger connection. And when we know the inner child, we know our true self. That child was never meant to grow up. But society kind of forces us to grow up in these kinds of ways. We should take our child with us in adulthood, right from the get-go, but a lot of us lose that along the way. And so we can gain that back, but yeah, it takes time. It's not a lost cause. We can gain it back. It takes time and it takes effort, but it pays off in dividends. It really does. Okay. So I'm free up on the questions now. So if anyone wants to do another question, we can do that. If you're a Patreon supporter, you do pay less per question, so please let me know if you're supporting me on Patreon. But yeah, so like I've said it before, it's one of my favorite quotes. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it should help us on this healing journey. When we know better, we do better. Until we know better, we don't know to do better. We don't know that there is a better that we can do, and that's okay. A lot of us will have perfectionistic attitudes. Okay? A lot of us will have perfectionistic attitudes, but then we'll also have low self-esteem. And that's because we were told that we had to be perfect at what we did every time, but that we were also essentially worthless, and that could not be farther from the truth. But that's where these kinds of mentalities come from. So we're working to redo this. We're working to reparent ourselves. That's why it's called reparenting. But we're coming in there and we're giving ourselves the attention our parents couldn't. What would a healthy relationship look like? Right? What would that look like? And that's why we go on and we talk about healing from narcissistic abuse, because they go, a lot of people on YouTube go back and they talk about that connection and they talk about what it looks like. And then we can read books and they say what a narcissist would say, or how to do this. And then eventually we learn how to heal, because we learn the traits, we learn the signs, and we realize that we weren't stupid. We were just wanting something that this person was not able to give us, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay, and especially if we were young, if we were children, we were not stupid. We were dependent on our parents. We were dependent on that connection, and we needed something that they could not offer us. Doesn't make us stupid, but now we can focus on bringing that back into our lives. Okay, Amber says sending now. Okay, thank you, Amber. I appreciate that. And you did the $7 rate. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let's do this here. All right, Amber, my friend, go for it. And thank you again for the donation. I appreciate that. What is it, Ty? What's going on, my friend? And you guys, I mean this, please feel free to type messages while I'm talking. It won't upset me. You know, if that's something you guys feel comfortable doing, please feel free to ask questions with each other, talk to each other if you want to. Okay. Ah, okay. That'll happen. And I'll look here in just a second, Ty. I'm going to address Amber's question, but that's awesome, buddy. Hopefully it was a good kind of situation there. So Amber says, this is similar to the first reading. I've always felt a connection to Lewis and have no idea why, despite my logic. Was there actually something there? What is the connection? How do I change it? Okay, so you're saying that this is a similar, do you feel like with Lewis we're attracted to the unavailable person? Because that's kind of what we had growing up. We had people that were unavailable, but we saw those people in what was called a love situation, and so then we kind of mirror that in our own adult life. Is that kind of what we're talking about here? Because you said the one question resonated, but let me do this here. Okay. Why does Amber feel a connection to Lewis? Okay. So why does Amber feel a connection to Lewis? Let's look here. Yeah, I remember you mentioning Lewis before, but then there was two Lewises. One passed, the other one, right? If I'm not mistaken, both spelled the same, and I think they had the same last initial too, or something like that. But let's see here. So. Okay, so why does Amber feel a connection with Lewis? This is the a-hole. Okay, I hear you. I hear you on that one. So we get the thinking man in reverse. So the thinking man in reverse, I feel like this is someone who, in this situation, I'm feeling like it's someone who could hide parts of themselves from us and appear intellectually superior. But I'm feeling like this person is someone who is waiting for other people to take the action or waiting for other people to take the responsibility in life. This is someone who just, they're not necessarily like the thinking type. Like I feel like there's talent, like you said, they're talent and they can be inspiring. But I have a feeling this person uses that to dazzle people, bring them in, kind of use them or whatever. It almost feels like a spider, or not a spider. What is it called? Like the anglerfish, right? The anglerfish has a light that dangles off the top of its head, and it does this to attract the other fish. And then when the fish get close to the light to see what's going on, it eats them or it hurts them. And that's what I'm feeling is kind of going on here. There's something here, there's something shiny, there's something going on, but there's a vicious presence underneath. There's kind of a ready to attack sort of stance underneath. So let's look a little bit further here. Magician in the mirror, okay? So this person, maybe when you say inspired, we could be envious of this person. Maybe talent flows to them easily or things flow to them more easily. And there can be a tendency of thinking, I would want to have that. So we admire this trait or this quality about this person. And I feel like admiration for us can sometimes be a love feeling as well. Like maybe that's something that we've kind of developed too, where there could be, I admire so I love. Even though this person is bad for me, admiration feels close to, it feels close to love, or it feels close to that kind of sensation. But I'm feeling like in this situation, we separate the art from the artist, okay? Or we separate the ass from the hole, so to speak. But I am feeling like right here that that's kind of what it is. I feel like there's just this admiration, but there's also this, I know who you are as a person, but I feel like those scenarios play out. So, let me read this again. So, Okay, so what is the connection? That's what I feel like. There's this kind of him strutting himself as a peacock. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Okay, as long as you're admiring this person, everything's good. As soon as you're not admiring them anymore, they take it as a personal insult or a threat. That's what I feel with this person. That, look at my beautiful feathers, the peacock, right? Look at my beautiful feathers. But if you're not looking, this person gets upset. This person, I feel like, would take things very personally, very fast, on if they're not getting personal attention from you all the time or praise all the time. So as soon as we start to see through that charade, we see the true way this person is. Okay, so is that making sense so far, Amber? I'll address the next part of this too. I feel like I keep getting this feeling, and maybe this is in the dancing industry, the acting industry. I feel like in that industry, you're probably... Okay. You expressed interest in the beginning. Okay, so he was still... There's his true colors right there. Even when you were admiring him, he was still awful. Okay, so that to me, I mean, that's obviously a sign. So I'm feeling like there's a tendency, maybe in this industry, Amber, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm getting a kind of a psychic sense or kind of a feeling that I feel like actors, actresses, creative types, artists, I feel like they're attracted to other people that can bring into that flow state and can kind of tap into that energy, especially if it's at will or if it seems like it flows easier for them. I feel like there's a tendency to admire that in other people, and I feel like there's an attraction based off of that, because it takes chutzpah to put yourself out there in some sort of way, and I feel like the flow, the creative part, that kind of thing, that's what I feel like we were attracted to. I don't necessarily think it was him, but I feel like it was the talent he possessed, or it was the spirit of it. I was naive in thinking he was playing hard to get, and I didn't take his attitude seriously. And that's okay. That's okay, because we're living and we're learning, right? We're understanding things now, and that's all right. But I'm feeling that's why there was the connection. I feel like you're a creative person and you appreciate other people that have the flow or the talent or the ability, because you understand that it's kind of rare to see it in other people, especially if it's, profound, or if it's something that's great. But right, that saying, not all that glitters is gold, kind of a thing. And I feel like we're learning from this one, but it's just like with anything else. The one thing I'll say going forward for you, Amber, for anyone watching actually, is that in the future, right, we let the actions for the person speak for them. Words, anyone can say a word. Anyone can be wordy. I can prove it to you because I talk 5 hours every other day. I can prove that I can speak. I can just do whatever. But action shows much more. And so if someone says something and they don't follow through, you learn a lot about that person. That's one way you can be like, oh, you're a shit talker. Okay, no thanks. I'm good, thank you. So that's something we look into. If people aggressively agree with us, but then they show no sign of actually understanding what we're saying, that's another sign too. But it's just kind of like we want to be in that situation, but I'm feeling like that was the connection. And the reason, if I can be honest, the reason why I think that happened or happens when we're talking about spirituality, when we're talking about this kind of world, when someone is in touch with that energy, it's like the universe experiencing itself, and we find that attractive because we're also the universe and we want to experience ourselves too. So to the universe, curiosity is like the currency that it uses to value its own interest. And I feel like that's something that, we learn more as we go along, but I feel like, yeah, that was kind of the sensation. Does that make sense, Amber? Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Why does Amber still feel this way? Yeah, there's root chakra there. So, let's look here. Let's see, Amber. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Okay. So why does Amber still feel this way? So we get this card. Door to Spirit in reverse. So this, to me, is still a lesson that we're learning. This is still something that we're learning. We're trying to understand our value. This person, I feel like, took something from us, and in return, they said, to get this back, you'll have to pay me for it, kind of a thing. I feel like this person took a part of us because they had a strong sense of personality and self, even though it was inflated, even though I don't feel like it was genuine. They had that kind of ability. And because of that stronger sense of self in that moment, like I said, it was inflated, it wasn't real, but that was something I feel like that we kind of went along with. There's a sense of power, there's a sense of definitiveness, there's something that's defined here. And because of that definition, it makes us feel like we could achieve that, or we could have that, or we could possess that. I do feel like that's kind of what it is. Especially when I see Door to Spirit in reverse, because it's realizing that there's a lesson here. There's a flow that you possess, but when you're watching someone else flow, it's kind of easier to watch that. It's kind of easier to be in that moment. Watching your own flow, or understanding your own journey, or building up your own sense of self-esteem, I feel like that's that's going to be something that takes some time. And this person seemed to have an abundance of it. And so there's something there. We can do the cord cutting that I was talking about. When you imagine the connection and you cut, there's different things we can do, but this connection here, that's why I'm feeling like that's something. And I'm wondering, was this kind of the last connection you had, Amber, or is this something that happened way in the past with Lewis? I know you guys were never together, but I mean, like, was this a connection? Was this the most recent connection you've had with a person, versus is this something that happened a while ago? Because then I can guide it a little bit better. Okay, so when he implied interest, okay. So I'm feeling like at this point I'm then abruptly cut off communication, and that's for the best in this scenario. I think you're realizing that too. That's something that I think is it's one of those things that when we're like me, for instance. Okay, Amber, I'll be honest in my own story. So when I was growing up, I had people in my life treated me like shit. Didn't, and I put up with it. I was quiet. I was that person. And I mean, these people would just walk into my house while I was sleeping and like stand over my bed and just start laughing. Weird people. What the hell am I doing kind of people. And they were not good people. But when I cut everyone out in my life from that time, not everybody, but there's a lot of connections that we've made that were in that same line. And so that's why if it sounds like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, it's because at that moment in your life, those were the lessons you were learning. Now we're stepping into different lessons, but we still have to kind of look at what's here so that we can enable new connections to come in that are better than these ones. So if it seems like I'm telling you the same story with different people, right, it's because it kind of is the same story. They're all different in a way, but they're also very similar in the way that they triggered a trauma response in us. And the deeper the trauma, generally the more we can be attracted to somebody, so there can be that kind of attraction. And if this this Lewis person, was unattainable, right, which we were talking about earlier, then them really being unattainable, right, or them implying interest and then pulling back, or whatever it happens to be, that's going to make us even more interested because they've already hit on a trauma or they've triggered something in us. Maybe it's shame, maybe it's a feeling of like we're not good enough. and this person seems to have the answer. This person seems to be selling what we want to buy. But eventually, like I said, when we pay attention, we learn what we want to buy and sell for ourselves. And it just takes time. But it doesn't mean, and I want you to understand this, Amber, it does not mean that we made mistakes in our life if we have these kinds of people in our life. What it means is that we're growing as a person. And that's the important part, is to realize the growth. Realizing that these connections no longer serve us, that should be a point of celebration, because we're starting to take ourselves and our intuition seriously. We're starting to realize something isn't adding up, and we're wanting to change it. And that, to me, deserves applause, because people are addicted to not changing. People would rather have their heads buried in the sand, I mean deep, 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 than just come up and breathe once for air, just come up and like look around. So right now it's going to be like the allegory of the cave. Do you want me to do a little story time, guys? It kind of talks about this a little bit. Would you want me to do a little story time? Hey, buddy. Yeah. Hey, buddy. He's always so friendly at night, but in the daytime, he can be a little mean. Okay. So, the allegory of the cave. So this is Plato's, okay, perfect. Maxine said, oh, quit being cute, buddy, stop. Okay, Tyson, all right. Okay, so the allegory of the cave is quite simply this. So, imagine that you wake up in an environment, and you know nothing else but this environment. So you've never had any other experiences. There's no other environment. There's nothing else for you. No memories of anything else before this. So you wake up, and the only thing you see is black all around you. Pitch black. It's just pitch black everywhere. Like these borders, okay? It's just very dark. So we look around, it's pitch black absolutely everywhere. We can't see anything. There's no light. There's nothing. It's just like our eyes were still closed. How do we even know our eyes are open? That's how dark it is. So all of a sudden, okay, we've been in this environment, we don't know for how long. We've been floating in this space for, we have no idea the time frame, because we don't know. We literally just woke up. We don't know anything. We're in this situation. We don't have language. We don't have anything. Okay? And all of a sudden, there's a light. There's a light on the wall. There's some candlelight on the wall. There's a flame, okay? A torch that lights up on the wall. And as soon as that happens, I mean, we're terrified. We're like recoiling. We're like, whoa, what's this? Kind of a thing, because we don't know. Again, we're being shown something for the first time, and we don't know what's going on. So then, after a while, when that light's been on the wall, all of a sudden we start to see shadows on the wall, and they're like hand. What do they call them? Hand shadows, shadow hands. You know, like doing the different things on the wall where you're making different like animals in different shapes and stuff. So that's what they're doing, and we have no idea about whatever's going on. We have no idea about anything that's going on. All we see is these puppets. All we see is these like shadow puppets, these little shadows on the wall, casting their little show. And it's mesmerizing, and we look at that, and we think to ourselves, we're in this cave, we're in this environment, we know nothing else, and we think that the people putting the shadows on the wall, shadow puppets, right? Okay, shadow puppet. We think that the people putting the shadows on the wall are the most, they're what we want to be. They're the most enlightened people. We don't know anything else, but we see those shadows on the wall, and we see that there's people casting those, okay? When we've been in a trauma situation, we kind of are stepping out of that darkness for the first time. and we're seeing things for how they are. So right now, Amber, you're kind of seeing the shadow puppets. You're seeing the show as it is. You're seeing it as a show. And that can be kind of a painful experience because we're realizing in a lot of ways how much we didn't know about the world. But this is also a beautiful thing because we're realizing that there's a lot of potential for us to know so much more about the world because we're changing our perspective or our lens. The people, and there was more than one person, but the people that were chained up in this cave that I was talking about, they thought that the best thing would be to be a person that did the shadow puppets. They thought that was the best thing you could ever achieve in life, and they would dream about that. They would have that be, they would dream about it constantly. And they thought that was the best thing. They had no idea that there was light outside the cave. They had no idea there was a whole world outside the cave. This is something that we're talking about now. We're talking about there being a whole new world just outside of our perception. Our perception has been led to believe falsely in shame-based beliefs. But we step out of that eventually. We come into something a little more grand as time goes on. So does that make sense, guys? Does that story make sense? I'm trying to work on my storytelling, so hopefully that made a little more sense. And I may have done some paraphrasing here and there, but that's basically the gist of the story. Okay, Amber says yeah, makes okay. Okay, perfect. And this can also reiterate something else as well, which is really interesting. I don't know if you want to go deeper with the philosophy, but we can go a little bit deeper. So now we can look at that allegory, the cave story, right? I believe it was Plato. We can look at that story and we can see it as it is. Maybe it's this cruel thing, maybe it's something like that, or we could take it a little bit further and we could realize that all of life is a play. And each person in our life plays a different role. For us to discover ourselves feels like the first time. Right, there you go, perfect, perfect. That's a good example. Feels like the very first time, right? Okay, so that's a good example. So, but if we imagine all of life as being like a play, what do you need in a play? What would you need in a play in order to make the play interesting? You need conflict. You need something that the main character has to strive either for or against in order to realize their true value and their true worth. That's what makes an interesting story. And humans, by design, we are grand storytellers. It's one thing that we're incredibly good at. And we're in this play. The actors are very convincing. Hell, even our own part. We're pretty in this thing, right? So we're playing this part pretty well. I feel like and so when we go through reintegrating the child self, when we go through all of that, we're becoming more true to our actor. We're becoming more true to that, and we understand the actor's motivations. We understand why we're doing what we're doing. So that's something that we can use going forward. All of life to me is a play. It's this kind of grand play. And it's really, it's fascinating to think of it that way. If that doesn't make sense, I can understand. I tend to look at stuff in that kind of context because it gives me permission to be me, right? And maybe that just helps me. But it gives me permission to uniquely be myself. If everything's a play and everyone's a character, I'm no different. I'm in a play too. I'm a character. I mean, we'll get Ben Stiller to play the part of me because I feel like that would be a weird enough match. It might work, but I'm just saying, right? We're looking at that kind of scenario. And then there's other stuff with that too, but Does that one make sense? Does the play analogy make sense? And another one that's interesting is that I mean, we kind of only have our perception. That's it. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Come here, buddy. So that's kind of my philosophy on it. And another thing that was interesting was back in the early times of human, I feel like maybe the 1200s, maybe the 1100s, writers and poets would keep a human skull on their desk, right? Much looser times on restrictions and things like that. But they would have a human skull and they would keep it on their desk. And at first that seems morose, that seems very like, what the hell is going on here? But the reason why they did that was because they could look in that skull's eyes and they could say, what I'm going through isn't permanent. What I'm going through, I'm going to be that skeleton one day. I'm going to be that skull one day. What I'm going through now is not permanent. Nothing is. And writers would use that to help them, to not feel pressure, to kind of ignite the fire within them, but also to kind of look at life in a way that it's like, oh, there's no right way to do it. Oh, there's no right way to do it. Because there isn't a right way. There's just what feels good to us, and then we get to explore that and express that through different ways once we've healed, once we understand that part of ourselves. Whether you're doing spiritual work, or you're a psychologist, or you serve coffee, or you do anything, I don't care what it is. I do not care what it is. No one's life has any more value than anyone else's life. Everyone's learning and experiencing different things. It's just the way it is. But we do deserve to stand up for ourselves and to be true with our spirit and to be true with that. That's something we need to do. Because if anyone else was putting down a friend of ours, if anyone was putting down let's say a 5-year-old child, if someone went up and they were insulting a 5-year-old child, like berating them, odds are you might stand up and you might say something. If it was a family member or someone doing something like to your kid, you'd say something. You would say, no. I want you to do that with yourself. Right, there you go, the Tower card tarot. Tower card's a perfect example. So we need to stand up for ourselves the way we would stand up for a relative that we love. We need to stand up for ourselves the way we would stand up for someone that we are responsible for taking care of. That's how much I mean when I say this. We need to do that. Okay? But that's something that takes time. I don't want you guys to get discouraged if that's not happening. It takes time. It takes courage, right? Courage doesn't mean necessarily what we think it means. Courage means to live life wholeheartedly. If we live life wholeheartedly, then we get to experience all of it. We get to experience everything of life. Because we feel such profound sorrow, we can also feel very high highs, right? It's because we feel sadness that we know happiness. Reality works in a duality construct. We know one because the other exists on the opposite end. We know love because we know hate. We know war because we know peace. Black because of white. Night because of day. Male because of female. Do you see what I'm saying? We know because of comparison. That's how humans understand their environment, is through comparison to something else. So hopefully that part makes sense too. Awesome. Okay, I'm glad you guys agree. I was gonna say this too, and this is kind of a little cheeky, but I think it's funny. You know, life is one of those things nobody gets out alive, right? We're basically all terminal. We're walking around. So why are we taking it so seriously? Why are we taking it so seriously? It's kind of like the structure changes when we look at it like that. The structure of life changes. Nobody is getting out alive. Nobody is going to make it in, gosh, I don't know. I'm going to say in about 300 or 400 years, I'm going to be dead, right? The vampire part of me is no longer going to exist. No, but seriously, we have to come to terms with knowing that everything we do in life is, in my opinion, it's for nothing else other than experience and love. And the way we can experience even more love is to re-experience the love we've already been given, learn the lessons that's from, because pain is a beautiful teacher. It's a harsh teacher, but it also teaches us things. Pain teaches us what we like and what we don't like. Remember when I was talking about comparison? Pain teaches us. The reason why we feel it is it's our body's way of screaming at us and saying, this isn't right, look at me, pay attention to me, and then we can work on it, we can fix it. But that's why it's that way. Pain is a teacher. And we can go hand in hand on that path. We can understand it more. We can realize that life isn't happening to us, it's happening for us. And things and lessons will unfold. And there's no wrong way to do it. There really isn't. I honestly think if we don't get it this life, we'll have another shot. I don't think there's a strict deadline or timeline, because time is something that I feel like only exists on this plane. In the spirit world, I feel like everything happens simultaneously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do my mediumship. I wouldn't be able to give messages for future events if everything happened in, you know what I mean? I'm getting information from a different source. Everything's, in my opinion, simultaneous in the next realm. Time doesn't exist, but here it does. And we have to play by those rules. But because time exists because we're mortal. We wouldn't have something called time if we were immortals. If all of us lived forever, we wouldn't have time. There wouldn't be a concept for it. There wouldn't be a reason for it. But because we have a finite amount of time, I think that kind of gives our life a special purpose. But also we get to do whatever we want. We get to live how we want. There's no penalty. It's just kind of us experiencing it, us understanding it, us trying to not put life in our little box, yet experience the full richness of it at the same time, if that makes sense. And then there was another one from the Buddhist monks, I think. It's either the Buddhist monks or the Tibetan monks, I think. And there was a person that said, basically, imagine that you're falling off the edge of a cliff. This is life, okay? Imagine that you're falling off the edge of a cliff, and everything around you is also falling. Everything around you is also falling. Nothing is firmly attached or anchored, right? Nothing is there, but yet we still reach for something. We still reach to grasp something, even though ultimately we'll all go splat at the end. It sounds grim, but it's to highlight the fact that nothing is permanent. That's what it's meant to show, is the impermanence of it all. Hello, my son always laughs at me because I look at my wrist and don't have a watch. Well, it's one of those things. It's a freckle past a hair, right? But everything is falling. Nothing is stationary. Everything is change. So, Ty, if it's a personal question, right here. But if it's a question for the group, yeah, go for it. No charge if it's a question for the group, but if it's a personal question that affects you personally, yeah, one question for 10. And you would be the next one in line, because yeah. There she is. How you doing, honey? You doing good? You doing? No, Allie, come here. Come here. They want to see you. Come here. All right, this one is Allie. I know you guys love her. She's a good girl. Had to take her to the dentist, to the doggy dentist today. And she had to have a lot of stuff done, so she's still awake and at it, so good for her. She's a resilient little thing. She is a Shorkie. It's a short Yorkie. She's a Shih Tzu Yorkie. And she's very cute. She's a really good dog. And animals also remind us too to not take life too seriously, because a cat doesn't have a job, a cat doesn't have all these deadlines, yet they still live. They still do their thing. Dogs are the same way. Animals bring us into the present moment to appreciate life, because that's all an animal sees, is just the present moment. It's one present moment to one present moment to one present moment. And humans, somewhere along the way, we lost the ability to be in the present. So, something to think about. Okay, Ty, thank you, my friend. I saw the donation. Let me look here. Oh, okay, the business. Okay, that whole thing. Okay, I think I remember, Ty. I think I remember that. The one that disappeared Airbender style? You talking about boomeranging out of there because of Aang, the avatar? Alright. Okay, give me a second, you guys. I will be right back. Stay tuned for all the goodness. I'm coming back though, so give me 1 second. Don't know why she called me randomly today when she ignored me for weeks after she reached out. Hope the trolls don't come in this time. Yeah, because that was silly. Yes, the avatar go. Ah, yes. And yeah, the trolls were awful. And you know what? That was honestly the first time it's happened like that. Generally, it's just random. Those ones were more intelligent, or they were actually people instead of bots. So that wasn't the funnest thing to go through. But they don't stick around for too long. They're too busy being unhappy, so good for them. Alright, so let's do this, and let's see what we got going on here. So why did so Ty, a bunch of people came on. I thought it was just trolls, like bots at first, but then Amber and some other people were talking with them, you know, and just doing their thing, and just sort of poking fun at the fact that they were trolls, basically, and they started responding. And then after that, they started kind of ganging up on me for a minute. They were ganging up on other people in the chat, and they were being racist and derogatory. It was awful. And so I just ended the video, and then I started a new one, and they didn't come back to the new one. So a little, not a little disturbing. It was pretty disturbing, but some people are just that way. So let's see here. What are G's intentions towards Ty? What are G's intentions towards Ty? Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And, you know, we're trying to help people on the stream. Me and my spirit guides, we're trying to get into vulnerability and into that. And so it's difficult. I need YouTube to up their filter game and make it so that doesn't happen. I would love it. Love it. But, you know, that's how it goes. Sometimes, I guess. Okay, so why did G call Ty? Why did G call Ty? So we get walking away. We get walking away in reverse, which is literally coming back. Then we get storm warning. And then we get goddess of the moon. So I feel like this person could be coming in our lives to, there could be some spiritual. No, they certainly won't like that. I agree with you, Ty. So walking away in reverse, storm warning, and then goddess of the moon, upright. So I'll show you that one again. And then storm warning. And then, like I said, walking away in reverse. Which, like, again, like I was saying, would be actually like walking towards something, going towards something. So when I'm looking at this, I feel like this person's coming in to teach us some spiritual lessons. Definitely to teach us some spiritual lessons. I don't know if they're necessarily spiritual though, but I feel like the lesson they could teach could be spiritual. Could you tell me a little about this friend, Ty? Are they... I'm just curious here because it looks like we're learning a lesson from this person, and Spirit's telling me something to do with patience and something to do with, this feels like something to do with patience, something to do with flow. Like a, Well, you said airbender, so kind of like flowing like air. The storm warning to me, this card here, is saying that there could be something that this person tries to bring up. I'm feeling like this person, when I said they're going to teach us a possible life lesson with this, I'm feeling like the reason they're in our life, maybe they're trying to get drama or maybe something's going on. I would be very careful with dealing with this person. If you feel like you want to talk to them, if you're feeling like things are okay, I'd say go for it. But the storm warning to me is saying that there's something here, and I don't feel like it is as it seems. It feels like something is, it feels like something's missing, or something feels off, or something feels wrong with the connection. So that's why I'm seeing the storm warning card. I would just say be careful around this energy, right? Be careful around this energy and kind of let the storm subside of whatever's going on, because if this person reached out to you and then disappeared, and then it took them weeks to come back, I'm feeling like that they're already kind of showing themselves and on how they're going to be. And okay, so Ty, I would imagine that that's not something you want to keep going through again, right? I feel like probably every time this person comes back into our life, it makes us feel uncomfortable and intrigued, but then also we feel like, why? Why are you here? What's going on? I feel like when that kind of wears off, when that feeling of, oh, this person contacted me wears off, then there's this sense of like, oh yeah, you hurt me. I'm feeling like this person is going to kind of re-trigger those same wounds again, because I still don't feel like they get it. I don't feel like they understand. I'm not necessarily sensing that they're bad or anything, but I'm feeling like they're in a different journey on their life right at this moment, and I feel like they don't understand what you've been through necessarily, or how to relate with you. And I'm feeling like if you go into a dark place again, you probably would want people that would have your back and not people that would turn tail and run, so to speak. I'm not saying don't respond to the connection necessarily, but I am saying be very careful. And if this person shows you something with their actions or with how they are, believe it. Don't sit there and think anything else. Go with your gut. Go with what's going on there, because to me it feels like this person still feels really unconscious to me, maybe emotionally or mentally. It feels like something's not quite right there. Like when I say unconscious, they could have behaviors that could be harmful and they don't even know about it. Like she asked me about how I felt about her and things like that, and I was vulnerable and opened up to her just for her to read my message and not respond. See, that's not right. That's so Ty, I mean that one's up to you right there, but she's showing you that she's avoidant with any intimacy, with any real intimacy. She's showing you how avoidant she is, that she has to hide behind a curtain to look at the Snapchats. The whole time she was ignoring you, absolutely. That's so avoidant. And I would imagine you don't want that in your life. I wouldn't tolerate that kind of behavior in my life, of someone that's kind of toying with my emotions like that. That's not right. You wouldn't do that to somebody, would you? First off, she put you on the spot. She immediately said, how do you feel about me? And then you're like, and then you told her, and then there's no response. That's messed up. That's toying with your emotions. That's messing with your emotions. Whether she would want to admit that or not, that is messing with your emotions. You don't put someone on the spot and then not read their message, or read their message and then not respond, because you were the one that put them on the spot in the first place. Yeah, that's messed up. And I feel like it's going to be the same kind of situation again. We have storm warning, and we have Goddess of the Moon here. So there's an important lesson for you to learn here, and it's that boundary and it's that self-respect we've been talking about. To me, this is a big spiritual lesson. Because so Ty, let me give you a scenario here. When someone comes in and out of your life like this, every time they come in, you're like, oh wow. And every time they leave, you're like, oh man. And every time they come in, oh wow. Right? Exactly. You wouldn't do that to anyone. You're a good person. You wouldn't do that. This person comes in and out as they please. Because every time they do, there's like a reaction, or there's something going on, or there's something that this person's trying to get out of us. It is. The lesson is the boundary. Absolutely. See, Ty, you get it. The lesson's the boundary because you don't need that. You don't need that anymore. And if we just say toodaloo, I would say this. Maybe I'm harsher than other people, okay? But I would just block them and not say anything. I would just block them and not say anything. They don't deserve our attention. Because if you tell them what I'm telling you, I understand, my friend. I understand. And I'm sorry that was the case. There was a part of you that was trying to emerge, and the people that were around you did not understand. Oh, okay. It's alright, Soya. You're just fine. Thank you for the Cashapp. I appreciate that, my friend. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that, Ty, that was something you were going through. And then on top of that, you felt like people weren't around that could see that. And the healing took months. Right there, Ty, okay? Are you seeing what you're worth? Are you seeing your worth when you say those words? I want you to feel that. I want you to understand that. The boundary is you saying, I don't want to go through that again. And it's you honoring yourself. That's what it is. You wouldn't do that to another person. You know why? Because you're a good person. And because you're a good person, you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I understand that. You think because you're good, other people are like you, they'll stick by the book, they'll have an honor code, they'll adhere to it. No, that's not the case. You're that way, and so you hold other people to that esteem. But it's because you're that way. I just don't like seeing the yo-yo. I don't like people doing that, and I've had people do that to me, my friend. I've had people do that to me. Yeah, Soya, you can have a reading. You're right after Ty. Sorry about that. I get a little passionate when I'm doing these readings. Yeah, you're right after Ty, who I'm reading right now. So thank you again for the Cash App. There you go, Ty. Honor that journey. The mentors that stuck with you. I want you to see when you're going through a situation, what would a mentor do? What would a mentor say, right? And like I was saying in the other one, treat yourself like you're someone responsible for taking care of. I want you to treat yourself like that 5-year-old kid, like a 5-year-old kid. If someone was yelling at your 5-year-old kid and they were telling you all the bad things this kid has done and everything like that, you would stand up and say, don't do that. Please don't do that. I want you to be that way with yourself. You have another friend that you're thinking to rebuild with, but you're not even sure. Okay. This is going to be something, Ty, where we need to, so we're working on healing, and we're going to work on that journey. The more we work on the healing, the easier it is for us to discern what's right for us and what's not right for us. Right now we're in a space where we're healing, but we're not quite healed, and because of that, it can be confusing. We can't see the line. We can't see where the line is, right? Or the line is in the sand and it's windy. So the line can be covered up. It can be cloudy. So if you're having people in your life that when they were around, we can have people in our life that when they were around, we could have actually felt more alone. Maybe this person passed judgment on us. Maybe this person made fun of us. They were relentless, right? And I'm just saying maybe. I'm not saying that's your situation, Ty. I'm giving an example. But it just depends on what we feel like was going on. Sometimes in our life, right, you hate the constant disappearance, makes you doubt who's really there for you. Absolutely, Ty, absolutely. And probably, I feel like what happens with that too is because we have absence, right? Or leaving, when someone leaves, we have a fear of abandonment. And I feel like when someone leaves, that triggers something in us, a deep wound, that fear of abandonment. So that's why we're focusing on healing. Anyone that triggers that fear of abandonment, if we let them back in our life, if we let that person back in, they could trigger it again, and then we have to focus on healing all over again. And that's the part that's difficult. That's the part why I say this. I say I want you guys, what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, I understand. I'm just giving some advice. I'm giving something here that can help us work through this. And generally speaking, we go through those kinds of situations when someone has triggered a response in us. And generally, to me, Ty, it sounds like fear of abandonment, which is it's a strong fear. It's one of those that's it really hurts the self when we experience that. Until we learn to heal, until we learn that other people don't have power over us. Once we learn and we take that power back for ourselves, then we can start to understand what it means to really be there for ourselves. But it takes time. It just takes time. Does that help answer the question, Ty? Because as I was saying, I had the same thing. I had people using me as a yo-yo. I had people doing that with me, and it turns out they were not good people. At least for me, they were not the best people. And I eventually said toodaloo, and honestly, it's one of the best things. At the moment when I did it, it sucked. It wasn't fun. There you go. Yes, perfect. Yeah, it makes sense. I need to make the decision for myself and control the access people have to me. I want you to view yourself, you're kind of like a resource, right? If people are paying attention to you, if people are helping you, if people are building you up as a resource, as a person, I'm using resource here, but if people are building you up, then you know that they're good for you. You know that there's something going on there. Your mentors, people that have that kind of stick-to-itiveness in your life. However, people that seek to tear us down, I understand that we feel like everyone should be kind, everyone should be this way. It's not the case. So what we can do is we can limit the people who have access to us. Ty, you're spot on. It's not being cynical. It's just saying my energy is worth more than having to deal with what I've already gone through. I want to learn new lessons. Thank you, life. I would want to focus on something new. Please. So that's kind of the angle we can cover with that. Okay. I feel I know what I must do. I cannot allow her to decide when to come and leave, nor affect my mood. Exactly, Ty. Now you're getting it. You're understanding that. Because every time you see her, every time you think about her, there's a part in your head you don't know what to think because this person's kind of playing around up there. So make it so that it's not even something you think about. It's not even an option because she's not there. It's the best thing. I do feel like, honestly, it's the best thing you can do because that's not... And you don't know... Okay, I'm getting too ahead of myself. You don't owe an explanation to anybody. I've cut people off in my life and not said anything. You know why? Because it was for me to do that. And they would argue. They would say, don't do that. And then you're like, oh, okay, I won't. You don't owe an explanation to anybody. You don't. Okay, you're welcome, Ty. You're very welcome. Okay, Soya, would you want to ask your question? 1 second, you guys. Okay, Soya, give me 1 second, my friend. I'm coming right to you, I promise. Okay, so I did decline your refund because you said it was okay to do that. Okay, so Soya, we're gonna have us a good talk here. I want you to sit back, get comfortable, have that keyboard in hand because I'm gonna be asking you questions, okay? And we're gonna work through this together, okay? Promise you we can do that. So let me just look at this here. Okay, so we're gonna do. I'm so sorry, just give me a second here. Okay, Soya, okay. Okay. Hold on. I think the... Okay. Now I'll do this. Hold on 1 second. So you sent... Did you send me 20 Soya instead of 10? I can refund you the 10 back. I feel like there's another 10 in here that shouldn't be here because you just paid for the one question. Unless I'm wrong, I could be having a brain fog day. Okay, maybe no, you're good. No, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm going to just do this, and I'll show you what I'm saying here. So I declined your refund. Okay, I still had the $10, and then I think you sent me another $10 at 11:48. If you're sure, Soya, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. And we'll just spend some extra time on your question and questions because I'm sure there will be more as they come along. So feel free, as we're doing this, feel free to ask questions on this too. And we're good. So just feel free to ask questions. These kinds of questions, these are the ones I love to do. So please don't be shy, all right? And I'm going to ask you questions too. We'll work through this together, my friend. And thank you again. Okay. Yeah, it's for the reading. Okay, all right, thank you. Very much appreciated. Okay, so you said, I'm just going to read, I'm going to reflect back to you what you said here. So, am I making the right decisions? I'm sorry, I burped. Okay, when we talk about friendship especially, I've cut people off. Many friends and my family think I'm the problem. Many friends and my family think I'm the problem. And they always remind me that. Okay, so that right there, that's kind of an issue. So I have a feeling that if you say something or if you're opinionated with your friends and family, I have a feeling they're going to tell you that you're wrong. I could be wrong in saying that, but if you've ever been opinionated with your family, or if you've ever said something that was on your mind, or you immediately shut down, or immediately made into sort of something that needs to be quieted. Because it's our life and we should be able to decide who's in it. And if other people want to shame us for our decisions, then you know what I mean? There are decisions. We kind of decide if we want to feel shame there or not. You know, they can live their life the way they want to. But anyway, I'll wait here. Always. Okay. Okay, Soya. So here's what I want us to focus on here. Okay? I'm going to be talking about, are you okay with me talking about kind of the healing journey and stuff like that? Are you okay with us sort of opening up a dialogue about this? I just ask because sometimes it gets personal. Sometimes, you know, I want to make sure that we're in a state where, you know, these people, these friends, these family members, in order to keep a kind of control over you or your life, they want to make you feel small. They want to make you feel less than. When you feel less than, you allow, when you feel less than, you allow their abuse, you allow their words to reach you because you're already feeling low and you feel that way about yourself. And then they further affirm that you're feeling that way about yourself, which in turn strengthens your connection or your bond with them because they're showing you that you aren't worth anything and you're buying into that story. Okay? It's not true, but they want to keep you small because when you're small, you're easier to control. When you voice your opinion and you're loud, quote unquote, they don't like that. So what do? They try and tear you down to make it so you don't do that again. Your sense of self-expression to these people is like, it's like a danger. They want to keep you small so you're easier to manipulate and control. And they do that by trying to work, by trying to work their way into your life in some way. Generally speaking, these are the kinds of people that will ask you what happened today, if they even ask you questions. But they'll say, what happened today? You'll tell them, and then they'll say, well, that was stupid of you to do that. You shouldn't have done that. That was dumb. These are people that will make you feel bad for making decisions in your life that are purely your decisions. Because we are human, we get to make our own decisions, and people have to put up with it. Okay? Nobody else is us besides us. So, is this making sense so far? And I don't care. I don't care if you had 300 friends and you cut off 298 of them. Okay? That's your decision. That's your choice to make. And maybe we made these friends, we made these people, these friendships in our life where we were in a lower place and we didn't understand our worth or our value. And now that we're understanding our worth and value more, we're getting rid of the people that no longer serve to help us grow as people. We're not getting rid of people that are good people. We're getting rid of people that are stopping us from our own self-growth, from our own journey to know ourselves better. Those are the people we're going to be weeding out. So is this resonating with you, Soya? Right. You've cut off a lot for real. Sometimes you feel lonely. And that's normal because you're in a situation where other people don't understand your worth. You're trying to understand your own worth. And in the meantime, we might even entertain going back to those connections because at least we were with somebody. Even though they treated us like garbage, we're comfortable with being treated like garbage. We understand what that relationship looks like. We don't understand what a relationship would look like if we were honored and appreciated necessarily. So we kind of go through those mentalities. And yeah, it does get lonely. Until we know our worth and what we're worth, we will feel alone. When we've healed ourselves more, when we focused on that healing journey more, then we can understand what we're worth. And then when we look at people, when we look at situations or making connections with new people, we'll make the right decisions because we will know what doesn't look right to us kind of from the get-go. I have some resources here, and we can talk more about this, absolutely, one of my favorite subjects, but I have some resources here. So this person right here is on YouTube, okay, and he talks about the narcissistic family system, okay, and this is a journey that I feel like it's a very good journey to go on. I like the way this guy does his videos. I like the way this guy does all of this stuff. And I think you'll appreciate him too. He talks about different parts of growing up in a narcissistic system, in a narcissistic family. And none of this, Soya, none of this was your fault. None of this was your fault. But we're gonna work on fixing it. We're gonna take responsibility for fixing what's happened. And then we can take accountability and we can kind of bring our inner child along for the journey. But none of this was your fault, even though I'm sure they made you feel like you were less than and like this was your fault. I'm treating you this way because you're this way. That kind of thing, that's not true. It's a narrative that they had, but we're gonna replace that narrative with something else. And when we know ourselves better, that's when we can replace that narrative and we can do better. Does that make sense so far? We also have this one, and then we have this. Any of these guys are good. They're all on YouTube, and they all talk about kind of similar situations with narcissistic abuse from the family of origin, which is the family we're born into. But I don't want us to get caught in the shame spiral. I don't want us to feel. What happened was when we were growing up with these people, we relied on them for something. They were not able to give that something. And all we were asking for was love and attention, and they weren't able to give it to us. And so they make us feel small, they break us down, but it was not our fault. We didn't have anything else we could rely on at the time, and so now we're gonna focus on healing ourselves, or we're gonna focus on what's called reparenting. So we go back and we take accountability for kind of, not accountability, but we take responsibility for what happened to our inner child, and we say, what can I do to make that better? What can I do to show up for my inner child, okay? And so what that looks like is this. You go back into a memory that you've had, the younger the better we can start with, and we focus on when someone was just being awful to us, and then we focus on the aftermath. What would we have said to our younger self? I say this on the channel all the time. Treat yourself like you are someone you are responsible for taking care of. So that means if you had a 5-year-old kid and someone came up and was yelling at that kid, they were trying to make that kid feel horrible, but it was your kid, you would defend that kid. You would say, we don't do that. That's messed up. And you would fight for that kid. You would do that. So what could we do to put ourselves in a situation where we value ourselves more? This is the inner integration work. This is the part of the healing journey. I feel like you're making the right decisions for you, but because they are decisions that are empowering to you, and the people that are around you do not want you to be empowered, they're going to tell you you're doing the wrong thing. And they're going to make you doubt yourself, because when you doubt yourself, again, you're in that lower state, because these people kind of pull the strings, so to speak. Is that making sense, Soya? If you have other questions, please feel free. Don't worry about you're good. You can ask some more questions. They feel like I'm a narcissist and want people to worship me. That's what my mom said recently. And what's funny about that, Soya, is that it's her projecting her need to want to be right. And what's funny is that after this person, after the narcissistic parent paints you in this box, after they paint you in this box, they're going to say that you're crazy, or you're this way, or you're the narcissist, or you're whatever, because that's how they can gain control again, is by making you feel bad. It started when I've cut off my brother. For personal reasons, till today, they are forcing me to talk to him. And that's not right. That's not the right situation. And you know that. You obviously know that. But you had a reason for cutting him off. And they need to leave it at that. If something happens, okay, but forcing connection, forcing it, that's not what this means. They're trying to make it seem like family, no matter what, no matter how awful they are to you, they're still all you have. So they're going to make you feel even less than, to make it so that your main priority is family when they're not treating you properly. And then they'll say something like, well, family, you don't get to choose family, but we're the best you've got, and we love you, and all that stuff. Exactly. I want to heal before talking to them. And that's something that you'll come into at your own time. So yeah, and you get that, you understand that. I feel like you're trying to play this the way you want to play it, but other people are telling you you're playing it wrong. And yet no one else is you besides you. Right. And you'll have people, the situation you're talking about sounds very similar to flying monkeys. The narcissist will send out someone to try and get a hold of someone else. So the narcissist sends out a flying monkey, it could be another family member, to reach out to you and say, you should call your brother, or you should do this or that, right? Absolutely, you have some trauma. Absolutely, I understand that. But the flying monkeys is a sign. When someone's trying to manipulate you into talking to someone else, or when someone calls you out of the blue and says, well, you haven't spoken to your brother, heard about that, that's awful, you know? If there's that kind of situation going on, that's a flying monkey. That's someone who's trying to bring you back into the dysfunction, because they need supply. These people need supply, and I feel like, but I can understand. You have some trauma because of them. Of course you do. And in time, we get better. In time, we get better, and we find out what's right for us. We understand that. In the meantime, if we have to deal with these people, if these are people we have to deal with on a somewhat normal basis, something that we can do is we can just talk to them, and we can do what's called gray rocking, where we're not emotional with them. We don't respond to them. We don't tell them about plans or goals or dreams or anything that's going on in our life. Really? Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's no doubt now if that's the situation. They even made a group chat, and they were all telling me I was wrong in front of him. Absolutely. That's very messed up. That's not something respectful people do. They're trying to shame you because shame is a way to lower you. They're seeing you starting to pull away, and they're trying to. They even told me he was the man, so I have to move on. Okay, he's the man and you're the woman. What? Right? It doesn't matter. I don't care. That right there, if it's from a woman, that's internalized misogyny. But if it's from the other men in the family, that's just misogyny. I'm sorry that you've been through that. But that to me sounds like that is so what we can do, Soya, in that situation is that if we don't respond, or if we respond with no emotion, if we do what's called gray rocking, where we keep them as out of our life as possible, like they have no idea of the inner workings of our life. if that's something that we can do. We make it so that they are on the outside and we do not let them in. We don't tell them what projects we have planned. We don't tell them what's going on in our life in any way or capacity, because these people want in so that they can bring you down. I want you to think of yourself like a ship. I want you to think of yourself like a ship and you're going along the ocean, okay? The Titanic hit an iceberg. There was water all around the Titanic all the time. It wasn't sinking though. It wasn't sinking. But the iceberg cut the hull of the ship to smithereens, and then water got in and it sunk the ship. This is the same kind of situation. They are the iceberg, you are the ship. They're trying to make it so that the cut hits there and then water can come in, which is their narcissistic behavior, their toxic behavior, so that it can bring you back down. Because when you're back down, you're easier to control, and I feel like you're starting to see through that. That's why you're on here and you're talking with me. You are starting to see through that, so I applaud you for that. It's hard to see through illusion when everyone in that situation is lying to us, but I feel like you're starting to understand that. You're starting to come to terms with that. You don't get a free pass because you're a man. You don't get a free pass because of anything. In fact, you have to earn my love, my trust. You have to earn that. Not in the way of like, you have to show me that you're someone in my life that I value and I appreciate. I don't care if you're family. If you treat me like shit, if you make me feel bad about myself constantly, you are out of my life. You are not in this life with me. You don't get to share that with me. Again, though, that's... Yeah. So what do you think about what I said, Soya? It's, in my opinion, Soya, it's not going to be a good idea, because in that scenario, I feel like you're going to be brought down again. I can see what your brother... Let me do it this way. So you're asking me, you're saying, can I see what your brother thinks about you? Okay, I'm going to say it like this. I can draw a card too, no worries, but if I may, I'll say it like this. I feel like you're a good person, okay? And I've said this a few times tonight, and every time I say it, I mean it. Because you're on here, you're taking responsibility for yourself, and you're saying something doesn't seem right, what is it? And you're uncovering truths that are not pleasant to uncover, but you're sticking with it. I feel like you're a good person. I feel like you're trying hard to understand what's right for you. And I applaud you for that, because so many people, right, they want you to go like it's easy. And I can understand that. So many people don't want to do the inner work, and I feel like you're doing the inner work. So first off, I'm going to applaud you for that, because that's awesome. That's something that takes courage, and that's something that takes someone who is ready for that next step. So I applaud you for that. The second thing is, Soya, is that you're a good person. And because you're a good person, I feel like you think other people are inherently good too. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And because your family, the narcissistic part of the family, wore down your self-confidence, your self-esteem in this way, it makes it so that we doubt ourselves. And so we want to know what's going on, even though we kind of have a feeling. So I'll draw a card and we'll see, but this person isn't feeling or thinking the same way we would feel or think. These people have an agenda that is just to harm. It's just, they want to control and they want to possess. That's what I'm feeling with this kind of connection. And you're not about that. You're someone that has that kind of strength, that kind of inner strength. But I'll look. I will look. When you're a distance away from them, Soya, they can't touch you. They can't control you as much. All they can do is send you messages, right? or call you or whatever. As soon as you come back into that world, into that reality, you're no longer going to be safe. That's what I'm feeling. I feel like where you're at now, it's just that family reunion feels like it would be kind of a scary thing. And the more, especially Soya, the more they try to guilt you, the more they try to say things like, I was always there for you, I love you so much, how dare you treat me this way. The more they do that behavior, the more they're showing that they're narcissistic, the more they're showing their true colors, because that shouldn't be on the cards. They shouldn't be using guilt or shame to manipulate us into making a decision. They shouldn't. That's not the way this works. So if you're ever thinking, are they this way or are they this way, if they're using guilt or shame to manipulate us into doing something, they're narcissistic. They're focusing on trying to hurt us mentally. So, but let me look. So what does Soya's brother think about her? And I'll say another thing on this too, Soya. Is what I'm saying resonating, or is it still making sense? I just want to check in. I kind of start monologuing there, so I just want to check in with you and see if it's resonating. It's always guilt. And if you withhold from them, or if you try to ignore it, or you try to do something else, they'll give you, I don't believe you, or I can't believe what you've done. And, you know, your mother's crying, she's locked herself in the closet and she won't come out because of what you've said or what you've done. And it's like, you know what? She's a grown woman. She is responsible for her own damn choices. Has nothing to do with me. I'm clean, but she's not. She's crazy. That's kind of how it is. Okay. And then I'll tell you another thing here in a second. Are you wanting to hear more on this? How does Soya's brother feel about, or how does Soya's brother think about her? Okay. So here we go, and we get hostilities. Hostilities is in reverse, though. So, I'm feeling like with this card, your brother, I feel like your brother doesn't necessarily see you as like a threat or anything. What I feel like he sees you as is that eventually you'll come around and eventually you'll stop what you're doing. And he'll be able to kind of control you again in some sort of way. So he's trying to have a mental superiority over you. He's trying to focus on that kind of thing. But I don't feel like he's very smart. I really don't. There's something here where this person is, and narcissistic people, in my opinion, have much smaller brains. Some of them can be very, very convincing, and they can be covert narcissists where it's harder to detect. But to me, this person just seems like this is a baby. This, like you said, the youngest person. So it's like an entitled toddler trying to get their way, or trying to get what they want. And that's what it feels like to me. It feels like there's sort of this feeling of someone who doesn't see you for you. They see you as the person that they want you to be, not as the person that you are. And every time you show them that they aren't who they think you are, they feel threatened. They feel threatened. And every time they feel threatened and they feel insecure, then that's kind of the thing. That's what happens. He is not smart enough. Yeah, there you go. There you go. See? And they're asking you to apologize to him because when you apologize to him, you will submit. When you submit, you become a good girl. And he wants to be superior. Absolutely. Absolutely. So know that that's what I'm seeing with this situation here. And then I'll say this, Soya, okay? Just so that we can kind of understand this from a different point of view, okay? Right now in your life, we're cutting out friends, we're cutting out people that aren't good for us because we've made a discovery in our life. We've realized that we've let people in that we never really wanted in, but because we wanted company and we felt like we deserved what they had to offer, that's why we let these people in. So the reason why we're getting rid of friends now is because we made those friends when we were in a very dark place. And those friends didn't help us. Those friends are often the narcissistic type themselves. But it's because we're cutting off these friends that your family's getting worried and they're starting to come into that because they're realizing, oh, we could be next. And so by criticizing your decision, right, we need to get rid of what no longer works in our life so that we can allow new things to come in. So what you're doing isn't only good, it's natural. It's what you should be doing. You're growing as a person, you're evolving. There will be lonely parts on the way, but it's because you're getting rid of what no longer serves you, and we haven't yet found out what it is that we want to attract in our lives quite yet, but we're getting there. We're working on what we don't want to have in our lives, and the more we send that out to the universe, what we don't want, we can attract more of what we want eventually, because we're learning through comparison. We're learning through what we like and what we don't like. So every time we cut off a friendship, we can say, well, that person was egotistical. I didn't like that. I want to find someone who is, kind. I'd want to find someone who is sweet or loyal or whatever it happens to be. We're finding out what we want through comparison of what we don't want because humans work that way. And I feel like that's what Spirit tries to teach us. True, they helped somehow and felt some jealousy. This is why I've cut them. You're doing good then. You're doing good. And just like I said, Soya, if you are in doubt, if they're acting narcissistically, imagine that you had a 5-year-old kid and they were doing the same thing to the 5-year-old kid. Okay? They were doing the same thing to that kid. They were trying to manipulate and guilt them. You would stand up and say, well, what's up? You would be like, Okay, hold on. They help somehow, but I felt some jealousy. This is why I've cut them off. Okay, absolutely. And that's the other thing that I was talking to Ty about, is that when we cut people off, we don't owe them an explanation. We don't. People will say, oh, you need to say why you do that. It's just cruel if you don't. No, you don't. You don't need to do shit. You cut them off because it's good for your mental health. And if you tried to explain to them, hey, I'm going to get rid of you as a friend, would that be okay with you? People are going to be like, hell no. I'm sticking around. Why the hell would you do that? No, cut people off. Don't explain why, because they don't need to. They don't need to hear it. You get to do you. When you cut someone off, you are free from that. I want you to focus on that freedom, and you don't have to tell people why you do what you do. You don't. You get to know, and that's about it. And if you want to tell other people, you can tell them, but yeah, no one has a say in your life. Okay, Soya, so I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Okay, my friend? When you're ready to take that next step, when you're ready to take the next kind of evolutionary step on this healing path, those resources I put up there, those names that I gave you, I want you to look at those. And the reason why, it's not to remind you of the pain that you're in, it's to show you the way we kind of grew up. The way that things happened, it wasn't right, but we can work on making it right. But we need to have the behavior come up again and again so that we can see why it's wrong. And we can understand through and through why the behavior that we grew up with was wrong. Okay? And then around that, we can start to learn what love looks like. Okay? Love is something that we learn from watching our parents, usually. And if their relationship was dysfunctional, which I can imagine it was, then that's going to be where we learn our sense of love and our sense of self-worth. If we grew up in a family that taught us that conditional love was all we had, conditional love is meeting their expectations or they shun us, feeling like we have to perform or they shun us, feeling like we have to comply, right? It's control. That's conditional love. Unconditional love is just being loved in the presence of people because they appreciate you, not because you did something to earn their love, not because you did something that got you love points or something like that. And we get to reframe that when we start to heal. So right now you're on that journey where we're going to be focusing on the healing path. And that healing path, it will be messy at times and we will get upset at times. But I want you to lean into whatever it is that you're feeling. If you need to write it, if you need to do something, do it. But I want you to experience it in a way that is personal and that is yours. And please don't try to mute your emotions. If you're having a day where you're feeling angry, where you're feeling upset, where you're feeling frustrated, let yourself feel it. Let yourself feel all of it. At first it feels like it's too much that we can take. Eventually this gets easier, and it does get easier. It does. But we have to go through the steps, we have to go through the realizations, which can be painful, and we have to go through that kind of learning, or rather unlearning process. And when we find out, when we heal, when we start to heal, we start to see what other people are about. Right when they start talking to us, we start to understand what they're going to do or how they're going to be. And because of that, we can start making better decisions. We can start to see red flags from people before we're even friends with them. We can be like, I don't like that person. They made fun of that other person behind their back. That's not a good person. Because if someone is saying something behind someone's back to you, that same person is also saying something behind your back. It's gonna hurt, but I feel like it's needed. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a messy process. It is a messy process, and there's a lot that your heart's going to kind of need to unload and need to assimilate, which means absorb. It needs to absorb slowly. So let yourself, give yourself time to focus on this, and it's going to feel, Soya, it's going to feel a lot like we're grieving people that are still alive. So we're grieving that connection, the people that are still alive. It's going to be a lot like that. And you're going to go through different stages. And you're going to have some days where you're doing good and some days where you're not, and that's okay. You let yourself cry, let yourself feel everything, kneel into that vulnerability or lean into it. And know that there is something on the other side of this. There's transformation, and there's an integration of yourself. Your inner child that was wounded when you were younger and your adult self will combine, and then there's this sense of freedom and peace that comes with that. But it takes the process, right? This is the alchemical process where we're taking pain and we're transforming it into experience, and we're transforming it into our own version of self-love. But we have to work through that. You're very welcome, Soya. Very, very welcome indeed. Just know, I want to say this too. Know that you're not alone in this journey, but it will feel that way. Social media doesn't talk about this. Other forms of entertainment stuff, they don't talk about this part. This is the real growth. You're not alone in this. It will feel that way sometimes. It really will. But other people are experiencing this too. And the power of your experience and of healing your family line, of healing that lineage of narcissistic abuse, that's some good karma. That's going to help you. But it does take a warrior spirit. It does take, to me, that's the true warrior. That's the true emotional warrior. That's the true one. Because you're focusing on not battling the seen enemy, but on battling behavioral patterns, but battling these mental images of ourselves. And eventually we will claim victory, but it's just gonna take some time. It's a gentle process, as I've talked about. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And please check out those resources that I gave. They're already on YouTube. And the reason I'm having you watching them is to confirm that what you've been through is what you've been through. And then you can understand what steps to take from that. And then we can learn more. Having something help us, because a lot of times the narcissistic person will have worn us down so much that we don't know left from right. We don't have a strong sense of identity sometimes. And so it's good to focus on having other people show us what that behavior looks like and then learning. So, all right. Yeah, see you soon, Soya. You take really good care. I think I'm going to log off for the night, but thank you so much, my friend, for coming on, and I wish you all the best. All the best, okay? So, I think I'll be gone. I'm going to be gone until Wednesday next week. So Wednesday next week, I will be on, and because Friday I'm celebrating my girlfriend's birthday, and then I'm celebrating the 4th of July, which is on the 5th of July, which really doesn't make sense to name a holiday after a day or after a calendar number, because celebrating the 4th on the 5th, what the hell? Anyway, but I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Everyone take care. Have a good weekend. Treat yourselves well. Love yourselves, guys. And I will see you on Wednesday. See you later.